Doomsday is upon us because the gaming industry is over. Xbox has acquired ABK. The industry's never going to recover. Consolidation is here. Monopoly companies are ruining fuck all that shit. Well, this is the time to celebrate as Xbox gamers, everybody. If you can't tell, I'm just slightly energized by the news that started coming out last night. And we got a lot to talk about because this thing we've been talking about for 20 months culminated starting last night when the stocks got halted from ABK, followed by a few hours later, CMA approval, followed by a few hours later, finalizing the deal. ABK is now officially part of Xbox.
Oh
yeah! All right, it's done. All right, we got a full fucking panel today to celebrate. This is gonna be amazing. 3-Bit showed up because he was like, "Hey, I guess something important happened. I'll get off my ass and stop animating ducks and actually talk some gaming."
We're not important any other time.
No,
that's for sure, dude.
No, we got Steel Rain here, part of the family. I told Steel, this is like a family get together tonight. Let's just get together. I'll bring the potatoes. I forgot what you were bringing, Steel. I think you're bringing the meat. Wait,
no, fried chicken.
He's bringing the meat.
What are you talking about, bro? Stereotype. I like fried chicken, so there's that. But
get some mac and cheese in here at least.
Yes, baked mac and cheese.
Baked mac. Yes.
I didn't say chicken. I don't know who said chicken.
I did.
Still said
it was all my idea. I don't want nobody to take it the wrong way.
Okay, right on. Welcome to the show.
We can bring Popeyes. I'm with it.
Oh,
Popeyes. Are we doing an actual outro?
I just had
like
Popeyes.
Intro, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, Popeyes rocks, dude. I fucking love Popeyes, bro. It's so
Are we doing food again? Are we continuing last week's Xbox Ultimate right now?
He mentioned food. This could derail the conversation very easily.
That's right, folks. Forget that ABK news. We're going to talk some more food.
If there's anything...
We're talking about fried chicken. We're talking some sweet tea.
If there's anything more important than ABK, it's
make
Popeyes.
it worse, Psycho.
Psycho will make it worse. He doesn't know when to stop.
How you doing, bro?
What's going on? What's going on, y'all, man? It's been an interesting week, fun week for sure. I've been deep on the track, and I am finding some of the monotony in some of it, and some things that I would like to, I feel like may need to be addressed. Especially with the car RPG aspect of it. I don't care if anybody doesn't like that aspect or like it being called that. I've heard more people say that car RPG thing sounds stupid. But again, when you've actually played the game, you get the concept behind it. Again, it's still working for me, but I can definitely see how in the long run, at least in the career mode offline, when you're not really online, doing the online races and whatnot, where it can possibly become a monotonous kind of thing. But again, I'm still enjoying my time with it, hitting lap with the lap. It's good to see so many people continue to be negative on it, especially after Horizon 5. Again, I feel like that's just a blatant difference that Forza Motorsport has always had, and their whole entire reason Playground was created to make Horizon in the first place, right? And that's something that we all kind of knew. It's always going to have that bias. But anybody that's here, just in case you're a GT fan, I do want to tell you, and again, it's just, I ain't going to be biased about this. Forza's better. Take it how you will. Anyway, and I'm jumping into some Lords of the Fallen with my brother. So we're going to be co-oping that because it's actually one of the few Souls games to where it doesn't separate you on your journey, where it's just the bosses where you can fight. And since me and him haven't really trudged together since Elden Ring, really, and even that was kind of that separatedness, we're gonna go from the very beginning in. So yeah, man, that's been what I've been into this week. So
right on, bro.
Appreciate y'all.
Well, I'm super happy that you were free and able to join us on this momentous occasion, Steel Rain, because
glad I could be here, man.
It's gonna be fun having
momentous occasion. What happened?
Yeah. What happened?
I heard the gaming industry is ending.
It is.
It's over.
2027 Xbox explicitly stated that they were getting out of the gaming business.
They're taking everybody with them too, Steel.
Why is this
going to buy everybody
deal?
Up and then go away? That's what they're going to do.
Why is this a good deal if they're going to just exit the market anyway?
Yeah. Right. I
in
mean,
2027.
why is anybody even
Gaming's a cancer on our society, so they got to bite it all up and shut it down.
Yeah. That's the master plan.
Smart move
Yeah.
from a business
But
designed to make money.
I'm sure we'll bring some smoke about it though. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. This is gonna be interesting. What is up, 3-bit? Oh,
Hey
man.
y'all.
But 3-bit has butterflies for numerous reasons, but we won't get into that. Hey, 3-bit.
Hey.
What? How are you doing, man? It's been a while since you've been on Ultimate.
It's been quite some time, hasn't it? It's been 5
Did
years.
you just pull out a country voice?
Yeah, he did.
He does that.
What's with everybody
What is
doing
this, Red
accents
Dead?
tonight? Jesus, what is going on?
He's like afraid
Been-
to show his real voice now when he podcasts. It's really
Been-
strange.
It's been some time, hasn't it, man?
It's been some time. 3-bit.
Some
Why
time.
are you here? Why are you here at 3-bit?
So my girlfriend's at a Taylor Swift movie event.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing.
usually we're hanging out on Friday, but not today. And this just happens to be the day of something happening in the gaming industry, I think.
A little thing. Not a big.
Yeah, I forgot what it was, but yeah, it's gonna be a good show
Yeah,
regardless.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun. Thanks for
A
being
lot
here.
of things I've been working on. I've been doing stuff, commercials, planning stuff. But I've been playing some Forza, and I played Forza, then I played GT7 just to, I don't know, just to kind of compare. And one thing I noticed about Forza is for me it controls a lot better. I'm not like a racing guru by any means, but I just wanted to see what people were kind of talking about. So Forza plays a lot better. The lighting is beautiful in Forza, but GT7 has some things in there I liked as well. Some of the lighting for like the sunsets were really cool. But yeah, played some Forza this week. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, but I'm excited about this thing that we're about to talk about.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here as well. 3-bit, you rock.
Yeah.
Love you, man, and I'm happy for you in many ways right now. But Psychonauts, are you on a high right now, Psycho?
I mean, last week he shut up on there.
What?
Jasper, he was not shooting up; he was snorting. Okay, there's a difference, sir.
Yeah, there's a difference. I shot it up my nose.
No,
It was nasal spray. Everybody.
He's running with it.
It was
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's what it was.
yeah. That's exactly what it was. And what a great
It's not
fucking week we've had. With some stuff dropping in the internet, and Call of Duty having its beta this weekend, and things like that. So yeah, it's great.
You sound so excited. It's awesome, man. Love the energy. Love the energy.
The energy is coming. It's building.
Oh yeah, and I forgot I
Yeah,
did
just give me
run,
5 minutes. It'll be there.
Oh my god! Wow.
I ran Pong off the road. That was really cool. That was fun.
Did you?
What you're supposed to do in track
Forza.
racing, sir.
I saw Pong's name, like yes.
3-bit's always got like a 7-second penalty on every race, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Fuzzy Belvedere, what is going on, dude?
A lot of Forza as well, and a lot of shenanigans on the app formerly known as Twitter, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. Kind of sent out a health and welfare check for Adam Conover, but you know,
there's a lot of people that need those today. There's a lot of people that need those today.
well, there was a Spaces with a whole bunch of Spaces cats crying about
No way.
stuff like
Yeah. But that was I just want to hear the new narratives that
They were giving their honest opinion, guys. Like, you guys got to stop going this route. They were just giving honest, valid opinions. You know, Microsoft is just known to be a huge conglomerate. You know, the company is massive. Phil is he's like Anakin, right? There's just somebody. I'm waiting for the Obi-Wan to step into his reality so he can finally become Darth Vader.
I'm so
Microsoft's
looking
next
forward to
move-
tomorrow morning, Steel. I'm so looking
Oh, are
forward
you?
to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like somebody had pissed in their Cheerios this morning, but yeah, we got some stuff to talk about because I don't know. I guess this big event happened Friday the 13th, and it wasn't Jason
Scary.
Voorhees related.
Yep.
Well, it's multiple days of
Scary for one base.
the announcement
Scary
of
for one side.
the PS5 Slim being price increase, and then all the stuff that's going on with the PS5, and then we got the freaking news today.
Oh yeah,
We'll get
yeah.
into it.
Paperclip stand for the horizontal position.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
How do you
Yeah.
make a console that can't stand on its own? It's so stupid.
That's
And you-
innovative. What are you talking about, man?
You release a popsicle stick with it? Like, I mean, what is
Mav,
going
That's
on?
innovative, man.
It's so Apple.
What is happening?
It is.
You're lucky they didn't charge for that little plastic clip.
Well, they charge for
No,
the
but
one
they
that
charge
makes
for
it
the
stand up,
Yeah.
right?
the main stand. Yeah,
It's separate, right? You have to buy it
Well,
separately.
the vertical
$50.
stand, which is funny because the only way they ever make the PS5 look halfway decent is pictures of it, but the marketing is vertical. Like most people are
Stand
probably
That's because
wondering-
You
the
guys are
people
so
taking photos
toxic.
don't know which way to lay it. I mean, you saw Jim Ryan had it upside
So
down in his
toxic.
room.
Yeah. Yeah, he spent the last few years trying to figure out how to position the PS5, and he
Why are
figured
you
out
guys
that,
being so
he
toxic?
figured out the paperclip method or whatever it is they came out with, and then left. He's like, "Hey, I've solved the problem. We'll put a paperclip in it. Bye."
I'm out.
As a consumer, I'm concerned.
That ECP.
Jasper, how are you doing? Hey, everybody, congratulations to Jasper because he has officially become
Big money.
a YouTube partner. They have accepted you to the fold, Jasper, and found you worthy of partnership over at YouTube. Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah,
Now he's
thank
big
you.
Jasper.
Congrats.
Nice.
It's just doing stupid shit. Yeah, it's doing pretty good. I played Star Trek a bit. Been playing that. Grinding out Forza right now. I got an AI racing so I can level up my forward focus because
Are
that
you
car's
getting
shit.
into it though, Jasper? That's the real question.
More
than what you thought, because you were kind of really reserved about it, right? Like, I'm not a
Yeah,
car dude, man.
I
but-
mean, I finished a whole multiplayer series and I got an S ranking for
Okay.
safety. So I
Nice.
don't know if that's good or bad or whatever, but
that's good. That's how
did
it should be
that.
good.
It depends on if you're winning or if you're just like driving really
I got,
slow.
like-
Be careful.
I got 5th and 4th a lot. So
It's not bad.
You're doing pretty good, man. You're doing pretty good. for
Yeah.
sure.
For somebody
um,
who's not a car guy, yeah, 100%.
I'm playing on like I think level 3 difficulty with the tire and
Oh.
fuel setting, the middle like sim level or whatever.
Okay.
So there's
Yeah, I had to
that.
bump mine up a second.
Yeah, and yeah, it's Forza. Just I don't know.
Are you having
And Call of
fun?
Duty.
Are you having fun with Forza?
It's Forza. I don't know.
Oh, dodging the question as usual. What about the Modern Warfare 3 beta? You streamed that last night.
Yeah, played a bit of that also. It's pretty good. It feels a lot different. It's like Black Ops, but it looks like Modern Warfare, so it's kind of a hybrid game. So if you like the Black Ops playstyle, you'll probably like it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Again,
little different.
It's extremely frustrating with Call of Duty because this is literally a $70 map pack expansion, whatever you want to call it. It's literally that, right?
It feels
it's
a lot
everything that they
different,
took out of the game. I know, I get that, but it's a lot of things that they took out of the game that they implemented again, and everything that they were going to change in Modern Warfare 2, they're literally doing for this one. So I mean, again,
See,
there's
I
a lot of
don't like-
benefits though.
I know a lot of people like say it's DLC because of the maps or whatever, but I would rather play these maps than the new maps they make because the new maps they make are shit. So at least we got something to play.
Yeah, man, you were in some rough lobbies though last night.
Yeah, I
dude.
know.
That was-
Fucking, I was getting destroyed. That was
Oh,
so
really?
fucking
Yeah,
sweaty. Yeah,
I was trying
Damn.
to I was trying to rage you, and that like a lot of our chat ended up going, and I was like, sold you as a sweaty, and then like we go over there, and I just noticed you dying every 3 seconds, and yeah. But that was a rough lot. I wouldn't be able to play in those lobbies.
Every time I stream Call of Duty, I get matched with like the fucking god tier people. I'm like, okay, well.
It is what it is. But thanks for being
Yeah.
here as usual, bro. And again, congrats on YouTube partnership, man. That's huge. First milestone, knocked out. You can thank your amazing Starfield ships, right?
Yeah, no, they got like fucking 200 some subs off that
Yeah,
shit.
it's great stuff though. It's deserving.
Sure.
Pong, I missed you last night, man.
Missed
God,
it too.
I missed you last night. You had some awesome stuff going on though. So that's why we didn't have PM in the PM. So that was awesome for personal stuff. Congrats on what's going on there. But besides that, man, like it's crazy that we had predicted last week that this was potentially going to go down the night of PM in the PM and then roll into Friday. And this is kind of what happened. You're here tonight. I'm super happy to chop it up with you over this today, but welcome to the show as usual, dude. And how are you doing?
Can I say, man, history was made today. This is a defining moment for gaming, something we've been talking about for nearly 2 years now. Finally That's going down. It's surreal. I put out that post last night and said it was imminent when I posted some of that AI that I was fooling around with just for the fun of it. But it was surreal just to think about it, for how long we've been talking about this, all of the crazy roller coaster ride that it has been. And it was everything that we thought it would be as far as the case goes and more. And, you know, we've talked about this so much, Mav. It's crazy to be here with all of you, the fam here tonight, be able to talk about it. Obviously, the meltdowns or just the absolute coping that is happening right now. The doom and gloom is all back in popularity yet again. It's just all kind of part of the moment. And I'm just soaking it in. I've been in some dark alleyways that normally only Steel visits, and I get to hear from him what's going on. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Checking it out, which only increases my blood pressure. No, it increases my blood pressure, so I don't do that because they're so dishonest. It's not even funny. But it is
honest opinions, bro.
Yeah, totally honest opinions. Anyways, but no, that's all part of this. And again, when we look back, those of us that are into it, I know not everybody's into it. I've already seen people out here. Oh God, look at how these people are celebrating. Oh, you're all celebrating billion, $1 trillion companies. Oh, what are we doing here? Oh, if you're into this the way that most of us are and why we podcast and the absolute depth that we do like to get into this industry, we're going to remember October 13th, 2023 for a very, very long time. It is going to be something that we look back at and know that this was a tipping point kind of moment, that this was something that defined how it was going to work going forward. So I know not everybody's into that stuff. But for those of us that are, this is freaking a day, man. And it's fucking fun. And I'm excited for the potential. Again, anything could happen, but I'm excited for the potential. I love shakeups in big industries. I love when things come in and shake things up. And I can't wait. I can't wait. Now I'm ready to talk about
Pong and Panel. Like I have a good question for you guys.
Oh, here we go.
Are you guys?
That's the name
Pong
of
and Panel
podcast.
Pong and friends. Pong and
Pong
friends.
was the last one who was just was speaking. So, but Pong and the Panel. Do you guys think that you should be more worried about the $30 billion in taxes that Microsoft? Sorry, I can't continue.
No, you can't. You can't even finish that sentence because it ain't gonna matter.
With the amount of games that are in Game Pass, they should just give the government a free Game Pass Ultimate subscription, and we're covered.
Yeah,
equal value.
IRS is going to go in there and shut them down.
Or as somebody else said on the X, it's time for Microsoft to buy the IRS. No big deal. Let's go.
Acquire them next.
Same thing.
Oh my God.
Games, IRS, it's all the same.
Yep.
They may be able to track the money better.
Maybe.
That's true.
Internal.
Yeah. Let's hope that doesn't happen then. All right. Man, Monumentus, dude. Stuff started going down last night. I ended up going live once the tax. Once not the fucking tax. What am I talking? Once the stocks got halted. I wish taxes got halted. That'd be amazing. No, once the
they should be. You want to start that podcast? Let's go.
Oh yeah. The taxes halted podcast.
The Boston Tea Party podcast.
Flat rate. Let's go.
This is the anti-government podcast.
We can do that.
Tax-free weekend.
Like this went
Taxes
down
ultimate.
last night, and once the stocks got halted, I went live because I knew exactly what that meant. Right? Like I saw that, and I was like, "That this is it. This is like the culmination. This is what we've all been waiting for." Pending news and all that kind of stuff is what happened. So I went live. We had a fun ass time. So thanks to everybody who tuned in last night. it felt good to almost kind of be like first going live with like what was happening last night. It was kind of fun. Everybody flooding into the chat and stuff. We ended up breaking like a record for a solo stream for conversational at least. So it was really cool. So thanks everybody who stopped by. And but yeah, it was a time to celebrate and rub the salt in the wounds, because the salt's coming from their tears. So they get that salt from themselves. We'll just rub it in their wounds, and they can just be pity. We can pity them all we want to. It doesn't matter. They fucking irrelevant, misinformation, disingenuous bastards that don't deserve to have a any kind of thought that reaches anybody's ears, but they do. And there's a lot of ignorant people out there that will fall for it. And Pong was privy to some of that earlier tonight that he was listening to. So maybe we'll get into some of the salt that's been poured out there. As well.
Are we going to talk about the CMA salt, by the way?
Oh,
that was fun.
That was funny. Actually.
Wow.
That was some bullshit.
Microsoft doing something shady. They could have did it the first time.
Can you guys find that quote? Because when I was reading, I was like, goodness gracious.
They pretty much said the same thing. They said like that one woman came on the interview. Like
a little bit, yes. But to put it up, we got to talk about that, because that
the way that they posed it though is like, okay, you're making it worse. Like, anyway, my fault.
Yeah, so here's the quote. Businesses and their buyers should be in no doubt that the tactics employed by Microsoft are no way to engage with the CMA.
Oh my.
Microsoft had the chance to restructure during our initial investigation, but instead continued to insist on a package of measures that we told them simply wouldn't work. Dragging out proceedings in this way only waste time and money. Blaming it on Microsoft, when in fact the CMA was the only ones that had this fucking problem in the first place. Yet it's Microsoft's fault instead of you coming to your damn senses and just accepting the same things that every other regulator in the entire world hasn't accepted. It's Microsoft's fault, Sarah Cardell. This is what I call trying to save face, put blame, and trying to say, hey, look, the reason this whole thing happened, it was Microsoft's fault, because we said, because we're the regulator of the world, that it wasn't going to work, because we don't want to actually regulate. We just want companies to divest. Microsoft.
It gets worse when you read it, Matt. You know that it gets worse. Like how, because you can hear her voice if you've watched her interviews, and the tone. She's like scolding Microsoft like she's some mother superior. And it's unbelievable that they have the gall to come out here after all this, after everything that we know, after their own cat scolded them for how they handled this entire situation, to try to turn around and blame Microsoft because you all decided to come up with some bullshit cloud excuse, and you wound up winning at the end of the day, quote unquote, by getting Microsoft to give in, right? Which I didn't want Microsoft to do, but you wound up winning, and then you dare come out and scold Microsoft for wasting money when you all are the ones who wasted time and money over this bullshit cloud nonsense that obviously, at the end of the day, Microsoft gave two shits about. Obviously, that's how big of a market it is.
We don't either.
1% of the market. Let's block.
Correct. All of like what 3,000 people in the UK that you're supposedly supposed to be protecting, when 49 other countries passed it with no problem whatsoever, and the EU, which has got a much bigger portion of the market, actually said, you know what Microsoft offered was good enough. We're good with that. No, you guys look like the fools, and then you come out with a comment like that. It blows my mind, man. These people think. These government agencies, and I know they're not government really, but let's be real, they are. They all think they're so much more important than the rest of the peasants out there. They really do believe they're above it all at the end of the day. Freaking unbelievable people.
Yeah, the whole thing was just insane to me, because when they were like, oh, Microsoft had the gall to essentially fight back and actually communicate, I'm like, wouldn't you want companies to come to you and communicate and try and have a deal in the first place? Like that was a bad thing that Microsoft like, oh, okay, let's try and make a deal happen. That's besides the point. Like CMA actually blocked.
No, they just wanted to step down so they have to do work and get paid.
It's so dumb.
Remember that Microsoft was actually surprised when the CMA did that block. right? They actually thought that the CMA, according to their feelings in the situation, was going to accept the remedies of the cloud deals and all that kind of stuff that the EU had already accepted, right? So then when the CMA blocked it, there was like, okay, we're going to do this new deal and we're going to go ahead and cut in Ubisoft to appease these idiots because that's just what we got to do to get it done, because they're puffing their chest out and trying to make themselves look big to the world, right?
And they know nothing about this industry. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, they were getting schooled on the spot, right? So.
They're gonna block a $70 billion deal over barely 1% of the market. Like we've been saying this stuff for a while, like throughout the 2 years of us covering this roller coaster where of different regulatory bodies where they all had different agendas. I remember with the FTC, for example, where they initially blocked the deal and Microsoft didn't even have a say in the room. Like it was like a 5-minute conversation before they're like, no, we don't want to hear it. We're blocking your deal. Didn't even bother doing their jobs and actually researching how this deal could be good for Activision Blizzard, or how it could actually be beneficial for competition where Sony is in the market, or how many jobs it can bring, union, all this different stuff where it could be beneficial for Activision Blizzard to be acquired by Microsoft. They didn't want to do any of that research. Instead, it was just all like politics at the end of the day. Like, go ahead.
I want to just drop in because it is kind of fair just to play the other side of the field a little bit for them to got some of the criticism that they received, right? It's just the angle that they were approaching it from was there wasn't any lanes that you could possibly make any turns at and get to anywhere, right? So as they continue to progress, right? Because it's one thing, yes, Microsoft is the biggest tech company, if there's only a few around the world, right? So you have every right to question what their actual intentions are. But when they're approaching it from an angle where it is more gaming focused, you have to you as the governing body, quote unquote, have to come at it from not only because, again, they say that, we try to look at the longevity, what can happen in the future. They're going to monopolize this market, and that's the problem that we have. They're not going to include anybody. But then when you have them consistently, and it'd be different because that's the other thing that was special about this entire ordeal, right? We've gotten more information than we have ever previously gotten before, right? Behind the scenes deals. We now know what we felt about PlayStation, how they handled the deals, purposely cutting out Microsoft and Xbox to get in or have certain games to come in. Of course, Xbox dropped some of those deals also, but there was much more behind the curtain happening than we were even privy to that we now know was factual information. So it's crazy to see that the governing body didn't have the wherewithal or just didn't have enough information, didn't do the research like we would kind of expect, especially for people who are probably getting paid some decent ducats, not do the research. Microsoft have to come in and say, hey, this is why we're not this in this market. We have all this growth. There's only this much of the market to be there. We don't understand why you're trying to block this and why since the very beginning, I've had at least 90% faith about this deal passing through, because if it didn't, then I felt like that would have opened up bigger questions for us versus how people are kind of feeling right now. Was like, if Microsoft can buy whatever they want, this isn't a whatever you want situation. There's the human element to it still, right? That people consistently forget about. If Microsoft didn't buy Activision Blizzard, who would? You want them to just be by themselves? It was working. No, it wasn't. We like, you can't say that you're part of the conversation and then also leave out pieces of that conversation to fit whatever spiel that you're trying to give. So
it's convenient leaving out information, Seal. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Shout out to Chris Jones, hit us with a $2 super chat. Says Fuzzy got like 7 days in Forza already. LOL. Probably so.
Hey, he's not playing it. He's playing Starfield. Remember?
Yeah. I remember when he said that. We were all like, bullshit. Alvin with the $10 very generous super chat, bro. Appreciate you. Says, Last week I listed the reason Sony just had their worst week of news in a decade.
Nah, for real. I'm
edit-
heated. I'm heated with Sony right
It
now.
says edit, make that
Facts.
worst 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not bringing up that F word.
Yeah.
I'm
Steel's
mad
here.
at,
I'm heated.
listen, me
I'm
and
good.
Steel have
I'm
been
so
on that
good.
on that train for a
I'm
while.
so
But
good off of Sony
we'll
right
have
now.
a section where me and Steel could rant about that. 'cause I've been waiting.
You two doing a show
I'm so
together would be
good off of
hilarious just on factions.
Listen.
That would be
Yeah.
pretty hilarious.
Ridiculous,
But y'all talked about the human element and the employee element and all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
So right here in front of me, thanks to, I think it was you that shared this in our DM, Psycho. I do have the letter that Phil Spencer himself had
Ooh,
sent to
perfect.
the
Nice.
ABK employees. Today, I am thrilled and honored to welcome you all to Team Xbox. I've
You a high
long
priest?
been a fan of the incredible games and stories that your teams have created and admired the impact that you've all had on gaming,
Why does he
entertainment,
sound like Jim Ryan?
and pop culture. Anyway, whether it was late nights spent playing the Diablo 4 campaign with friends from start to finish, gathering the entire family in the rec room for our weekly Guitar Hero night, or going on an epic streak in Candy Crush, some of my most memorable gaming moments have come
Wait
from
to
experiences your studios have created. Bringing our teams together represents an incredible opportunity for us to learn from one another, unlock a world of possibilities, and continue doing what both of our companies have always done, create stories and experiences that bring players together. Thank you to everyone who contributed to making this moment possible. By combining Xbox with your team's skill and talent, energizing passion, and amazing legacy of games, we will bring the joy and community of gaming to even more players around the world. Our goal is to keep nurturing what makes you great, support you in doing your best work, building groundbreaking games, and prioritizing our shared commitment to putting culture at the center of everything we do. We want to learn from your centers of excellence, exchange ideas and best practices, and empower you to bring your visions to life. As of today, we couldn't be more excited that Activision Blizzard employees are our colleagues, co-workers, and teammates. As mentioned in Bobby's email earlier, he has agreed to remain in his role through the end of 2023, reporting directly to me to ensure a smooth and seamless integration. We look forward to working together as a unified team, and we will share more updates on our new organizational structure in the coming months. Through this integration, we remain committed to being transparent and sharing information wherever possible. We have a dedicated team ensuring that you feel welcome, have opportunities to ask questions, and that we are creating a culture of trust, inclusion, and collaboration with you. Earlier today, I sent a note to Microsoft letting the rest of the company know that we can now officially welcome you. And there, I reiterate that we hold ourselves to a high bar in delivering the most inclusive and welcoming experiences for players, creators, and employees. We are one team, Team Xbox. Over the coming weeks, I'll be visiting the Activision Blizzard and King offices, along with members of the Xbox leadership team. There, we'll have the opportunity to address questions and hear from each other. We also look forward to welcoming you alongside Team Xbox at our next virtual all-hands. More to come on these. Welcome to Team Xbox. It's a good day to play. Phil.
Heck yeah.
Good stuff.
Nice.
I mean, again, people might gonna run with that and say, "Oh well, there go nice guy Phil. You guys just soaked that all up. You like to suckle
What
the
people
nipple
are going
of
to
Phil."
take out of
huh?"
that is when he said we're going to let people play more places, whatever. People are going to take that out of context and just be like, when the first Crash game comes out as exclusive, people are going to be like, look at this fucking context that fucking Phil put out.
I don't know, man, because Ubisoft, what we saw from Ubisoft today too, seeing that all Activision and Blizzard games are going to be accessible in their service. If they want to put it everywhere, then I think isn't that the point of the whole divestiture and whatnot with them having Ubisoft involved?
Yeah.
Or how is that going to actually work? So
Supposedly, it's all ABK games are going to be in the cloud for the next 15 years, I think is what it is. And Ubisoft will be able to license those to whoever they want to.
Yeah.
But they're also, like, Xbox is licensing back from Ubisoft for Game Pass as well. So maybe that's the way that some of these exclusive games to the ecosystem are going to be playable on some of these devices, right? It's up to the companies to get the rights to play some of these, maybe, because I know Call of Duty is going to have to be multi-plat. But besides that,
was
there's no
pretty evil.
guarantees about anything else.
Call of Duty's going
right?
to fail now because it's under Microsoft. That's what I was heard. Because Halo's failed, Bleeding Edge failed. What else failed under Halo? Halo Wars failed.
Talks about Bleeding Edge.
all these games failed. So Call of Duty's going to fail because it's under Microsoft.
Oh
now,
yeah,
so.
that's right.
Wait, what?
That's like the new thing where
Yeah.
people are like, well, I guess Call of Duty's dead. RIP to Call of Duty. I'm like, you guys realize like ABK was starting to kind of they were in a bad position as a company.
3-bit? No.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Call of Duty's
Yeah,
dead,
Call of
but
Duty's
they
dead.
already
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
it for the PlayStation.
I refunded it because it's under Microsoft now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dang.
They said that
It
about
doesn't feel the
what do you
same.
call them? Modern Warfare 2, and that was one of their best-selling ones in the past decade. So their
not
refunds
the
didn't
same.
really amount to much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dead game.
So I mean, the news came left and right. Everybody was tweeting about this last night from the high ups. You know, you had Lulu Chang, you had Phil, you
Rod
had
Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, and Mike Ibarra. You know, I mean, you have
Really
people
dope to have
from
'em.
both companies just really kind of celebrating. I saw Jason Ronald had a tweet. Aaron Greenberg, I think, was one of the first ones to put it out there from the Xbox side. So it's just lots of awesome stuff from there. Now you had the meltdowns, right? You have the people screaming doomsday on some of the shows and stuff today from the PlayStation side oriented shows and stuff like that. Still claiming that they're going to take Call of Duty away, that Xbox is going to shut down in 2027, or that they're going to ruin Call of Duty or whatever. I felt like Jeff Grubb actually made a good tweet today, actually kind of regarding some of the doomsday people out there. He said, every year more than 6,000 games release. The industry is more dynamic than ever. The next billion-dollar game will come out of nowhere from a small team, probably on Steam. Many people at Activision Blizzard will take their vested money from this sale and start new studios. It's going to be okay. Which is what we've been talking about for a long time, about the whole monopoly in gaming and all this kind of stuff, this consolidation fears and all these things. It's not really possible in this space, right? How many publishers would have to be acquired and all these things? And even then, you're still only talking about the existing top properties or the existing top games, and you never know where the next huge hit's going to come from. So a lot of these disingenuous people spreading misinformation or fear, trying to talk about this kind of stuff, or just not actually taking the industry for what it is and actually analyzing the different situations here. Meanwhile, also, all these big games that they're so worried about are also going to be available on their platform of choice, and also going to be available in multiple cloud services as well. So when Xbox says these things, I think about bringing games to more people and stuff. It's actually happening. That's actually a fact. I mean, there is going to be easier access into these games for most gamers, and that's a huge thing here, which is not talked about enough. And especially if you talk about the value proposition that is probably going to be implemented with ABK games, with cross-buy potentially between PC and console and all these other factors as well, that adds extra benefits that don't exist currently with ABK games. So I'm finding that this is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm super excited for what's going to happen next. They did also talk about Game Pass news maybe in the next couple months. So there was the Jez Corden rumor before that they had sources that almost immediately there was going to be a Game Pass dumping of Activision Blizzard games. Do we still think that's going to happen, or do we dumping, or do we see this as like it's probably actually a 2024 thing where we'll see the first Game Pass stuff?
I'm thinking it's like maybe late this year.
You see a small dump,
Yeah,
first.
It's just a
small dump
Christmas.
before you get your big dump. Yeah,
You get your
think
Christmas
Christmas.
dump in. Yeah.
'Cause I think they want to
definitely
meet
think-
with the leadership and stuff.
Yeah, that's
go
a fact. That's a fact. Now, I would just real quick, I do think that they're going to hold off for Call of Duty at least for 6 months, just because it's so close to Call of Duty releasing now. Now, if Microsoft wanted to be bold and get Call of Duty into Game Pass by Christmas, I mean, that
they
would
could have
be.
it. They could have it at launch if they really wanted to. They just know they're
Of
going to lose it on
course, of
sales.
course.
So.
Of course, I mean, but there's also I'm pretty sure there's other deals too that they would have to work around it behind.
Yeah,
the
if there's
scenes.
no
But
contracts and stuff.
Again, with it now being completely underneath you, there's a lot of things that can move your direction if you really need it to. But if they wanted to hold off, say, hey, we'll get these people invested, that is somewhat of a double-edged sword, because as a consumer, people already feel a certain way. Not everybody, because it doesn't bother me when they spend money on a game and then a couple months later it ends up dropping into Game Pass. So there could be some blowback to that if they ended up doing it. Hey, Call of Duty comes out, then 2 months later, oh, now Christmas, oh, it's available in Game Pass. But I definitely think that 2024 is more likely, but it just depends on how aggressive
for Call of Duty,
that's what they're saying too, though, right?
For Call of Duty, especially, like Call of Duty usually has a cycle where like the first month or two it's out, it's really high. Then you get your Christmas people in to jump on that high, and then at the start of the new year, it kind of starts tinkering down a bit, and they lose a bunch of like revenue. So they'll probably put it in Game Pass when it starts going downhill a bit, just to get that number back up. That would be my guess.
So I want to get Fuzzy and Psycho's opinion on this, because they come to different perspectives. Fuzzy is a tea leaf reader, and Psycho's usually on psychedelics that makes him see things that other people don't see. So it's going to be interesting to see what y'all have to say. Fuzzy, reading the tea leaves here, though, man, based on what they're saying, I mean, we've heard now from Phil. You had the previous tweet a couple days ago from Activision Blizzard. I think the benefits we're going to see probably win.
The first portion of it, I would say before the end of this month. Like, you see everything but games from Activision Blizzard that came out this year in the service. There's probably going to be some time before you get all of the Blizzard stuff in there. As far as like World of Warcraft, I think might take a year just to kind of either figure out the perk approach or discount approach on the subscription thing or something to that effect, and getting controls for console. I think that might have a bigger push than ever before kind of thing. But as far as the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I think we see that very early next year, like before the middle of January. Could we see it before the end of this year? It's possible, but I wouldn't be surprised if they, like, kind of like what Steele was saying, hold off for 6 months or so, just for the fact that it would be somewhat frustrating for at least the Xbox, Game Pass subscribers that went and bought Call of Duty, and then a few months later it comes into the service. They might make a bit of a stink about it. But I think we see pretty much dump one before August 30 or before October 31st, the second dump before Thanksgiving weekend, and then at least up until like maybe Diablo 4, which honestly I think Diablo 4 should go in there as sooner rather than later for the season 2. Definitely by Halloween at latest, but worst case, Diablo 4 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 wind up being, either Christmas Day or after. Let's
the Diablo thing, it's interesting because like they could wait for the community reception to kind of turn around on that. They're either you want it to be immediate, but at the same time, like, the game's still in a rough state, and like I think you probably want the community reception to be good around that, positive, so you hold people longer. Because if you jump people in, I don't know about that. Like, I think it's still going to be pretty bad reception. But like, you want people to have like a good experience with it, so they stay in that game. Whereas like, if they jump in now, they're just going to hear a bunch of negative shit, and they may jump out. So they may wait a while for that.
So you would do it around season 2's launch if you were them. Or
season 2's launch is like next week. Yeah, season 3 or 4 probably.
Oh, okay. So you would wait.
Yeah.
I would do it ASAP. Season 3, I would push it. If I was really petty, just because of how down people have been on Diablo, how flat season 1 fell. Again, goes right back to the bold strategy and how bullish Microsoft wants to be. If you really want to get people into the service and really get to that 50 million that you're driving for sooner than later, season 2, hey, it's in Game Pass now. Come back. It's new content. Again, are you going to handle the servers? Are you going to have a repeat of issues just because of the state kind of Blizzard's been in? I don't know, but that's the kind of aggressive tactics that you could use to really, start playing into that book of that art.
You
of
could
war,
also
right?
Microsoft knows the layout of their roadmap. Like maybe they
True,
have a month
true.
where they're going to miss something, and that's when you drop Diablo and Call of
That'd be
Duty in
good.
there
That'd be good.
to make up for
Yeah.
that miss in a launch.
Yeah.
I think Activision Blizzard flat out said it right in
Yeah.
their tweet earlier this week where they said not this year.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's definitely a next year for both of those
Mhm.
big games. I don't think we're going to see them this year, but late 2024, maybe summertime. That's when I think we probably see them if contractually they're allowed to. Diablo, I think, is not a problem.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is the one that we still have questions on, but I
Yeah.
think after the announcement of the next Call of Duty, potentially that's when those marketing rights finally, that contract's expired, done, over with. I think that's when we see it drop in there, because that's kind of great too. Excitement starts building for that next Call of Duty, even though we all say, well, great, another Call of
Yeah.
Duty, but we're going to get that excitement again. The community is going to start building. You drop Modern Warfare 3 into Game Pass. All those people that didn't buy into it now jump in. It's a great push then, because that anticipation for the next one will start to happen. So I think that's when we see it.
Yeah. It's
Those rumors about like PlayStation opting out of that contract, was that fake?
We never heard anything else about that.
No.
yeah.
We never
There's
heard
no
anything
follow up
about
to
that.
it. We heard
Yeah.
that news, and then it died after that.
I
so
still
we don't
think
know if
that's
it's true.
why
or not.
Modern Warfare 3 is what it is.
Correct.
Right.
We've been on
Yeah.
that forever.
Yeah.
Here.
It's the only thing
For
that
sure.
literally looking at it, and again, I could hear both sides of it, but from me looking at it, someone who's been playing the game for a long time and just seeing their approach to this, like, again, yes, Call of Duty has been very monotonous, but it's still been different. And to Jasper's points earlier, this next one is different, but at the same
And
time,
Activision knows that they could sell the game for more. If they was going to charge for DLC, it'd be $40. They know they can get a $70 value out of it. So that's why.
but,
they made the game. I think that was Activision's decision,
If
not
you know
Sony
you could
or
get 70,
Microsoft.
then
Yeah.
you'll go for 70. You know what I mean? So again, but that's the other thing that's a benefit to this whole thing. Even this could be the last time that you, as an Xbox, anybody that's invested into the Xbox ecosystem, this is the last time you pay $70 to play a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that other aspect of it too, right? 6 months later, new COD gets announced with more support behind it than ever before. And they actually announced then, oh, we're going to actually take a 2-year break. We're going to fully support Modern Warfare 3 the way we intended to with Modern Warfare 2. Because again, this one has looks like a bomb-ass zombies mode in it.
No, zombie
it just
mode
seems
is
like
trash, bro.
it's trash. Well, I don't know. Again, the last one that had zombies felt like it was all right. This one looked like it was cool looking.
I
But
just
we had
hate
some
the
fun in
open-
Cold War. We had
Yeah, I
some
just
fun in
hate-
Cold War.
The Cold
Yeah,
War small maps were good. I just hate the open world zombies because I
I
feel
like
like it
the open world.
loses
Get the open-
all
me
of
and
what
Paul were
zombies
like all
is.
over the place.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had fun at zombies since Blobs too.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
so yeah, I mean, there's a lot. This one seems to be a lot more service based. Like they were actually going a direction, but we'll see, man. There's so much hype behind this, and what's the possibilities
What
are,
if,
what the actual moves can do.
So now Xbox has some leverage. This is kind of a question to you guys. They have leverage with a lot of these studios, and I know before Activision, with Sony, they had a percentage. I can't remember what they had to. Was it like 15 or 20%? Where Sony got like what 15% of their revenue. Like
They
different
had
storefronts.
Activision was going to force Microsoft to pay 30% when they were charging Sony 20% on the.
They did
like,
though.
They
It
did.
wasn't-
No,
Yeah,
they
they
did.
did.
Yeah,
and then
they
with
did.
Sony, it was what was it? Was it 15?
It was
20.
20.
Oh, it was 20. Okay.
20,
Do you
yeah.
think they could
That's what-
still? I mean, they still have a
Mm.
lot of leveraging power now with Xbox.
It's 80-20 now.
80.
PlayStation gets 20 and Microsoft keeps the other 80.
Yeah, unless I would assume that eventually they'll have to redo that contract negotiation.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like
at that point-
contractually, they still have to offer a Call of Duty to PlayStation. Like they have to offer.
Well, we don't know
for
what's in this
for 10
new-
years.
We don't know what's in this new contract
No.
that they signed, right?
Exactly.
Because they just
Whatever's-
signed a 10-year deal, right? So whatever's in there.
So that could be in there. in
Yeah.
the contract.
Bob,
90-10.
Mav's been trying to get
What up,
to
yo?
Psychonauts, to Bob,
I know.
to everybody
We're
else.
all
We're just
so
dominating.
excited. I know,
I
it's
didn't get to
amazing.
talk last night, so
Yeah.
fired up.
I want to get Psycho's thoughts on that, but first, like, Bob, dude, thanks for being here, man. How you doing, bro?
Killer Bob.
Yeah, I'm glad I could make it. Doing good. Just excited to like move on with this whole chapter. I feel like we've been going through like a I don't know. It's the reverse of a divorce right now. I don't know.
Well, that would be
A marriage?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the marriage.
Yeah, it's the most long and arduous marriage I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's just a new
But-
chapter, Bob. It's not going away. It's just a
Yeah.
new
Yeah,
chapter
it's-
now. So
it's
we're going
not
to
our
continue to
fault.
talk about it. So
We
guess
gotta-
what?
We got to tell the
Yeah.
PlayStation folks it's not their fault. Like they still get to see Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty still loves them.
See
like
you
it's
on the
fine.
weekends.
It's like
They don't even.
You get them
They've got full
Wednesday,
custody
Thursday,
still.
and then on the week every other week.
it's like a marriage, but there's like this British asshole and like and there's like this PlayStation
Yeah.
fanboy all objecting like every time they're trying to get through the wedding, right? Like,
Yeah, some shitty British uncle tried to claim custody and made it take way longer.
Yeah.
Like mixed in with Parent Trap somehow.
but it's a British
The
lady.
ceremony is
Sarah
held up by a
Cardell.
clip.
Yeah.
But no, now's the time that we're going through the ceremonies. We get the reception coming up, and we get to enjoy the fruits of all this hard work. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to just talk about games for the time being until the next big acquisition. But I feel like this is gonna, unless like the political landscape changes, like I feel like this is probably gonna be the biggest one for a while. So we'll see what happens. But it's just exciting to think about where we'll be at and what games we'll get to play as part of Game Pass and the Xbox ecosystem and how Xbox like leverages that going forward.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. The thoughts. We're gonna have lots of talk tonight about this stuff. Psycho, I asked Fuzzy this question now, like, and Pong brought it up, and also, like it was different, I think, when ABK made that tweet, right? And then Jez Corden on Windows Central said, well, we have sources to the contrary, but now also Phil came out and they pretty much said the same thing, that next year we're going to look at bringing the benefits to our players and all this kind of stuff. But like, so is that what we actually see? Do they have some random little surprises that they could throw in there until then? Or are they just speaking facts and that's what they're trying to set the expectations? But whenever it does happen, what's the first stuff that we see in Game Pass from ABK?
I believe what we'll see from ABK and Xbox with the games coming into Game Pass would definitely be the older Call of Duties that were on the 360. Your Modern Warfare's, your the first 3 Modern Warfare's, your first 2 Black Ops, possibly maybe the older Call of Duty 2 that kind of started this all for Microsoft and Xbox, that kind of birthed the the marketing deal. Because if you remember, at the launch of the 360, we were all excited to play Oblivion. Well, that got delayed. Well, then the only game that for us, like outside of what was it, Dead Rising?
There's Dead or Alive. I feel like
Dead Rising, Dead or Alive. It was Dead Alive.
King Kong. There's King Kong. Remember, King Kong was like everywhere at the time, right?
But it was Call of Duty 2.
Yeah.
And that exploded. So that was like the first multiplayer game that we all got into. At least for me, that's all me and my buddies were playing, was Call of Duty 2. That was a phenomenal game. We didn't have anything. Halo 3 wasn't was I don't think announced yet, or was just announced earlier that year. But to see these games come into Game Pass, I think they're ready now, but they're just making sure everything is kosher, everything's implemented that needs to be implemented, that they can before. Because it's going to take a long time to get these guys settled. It's going to be at least 2 years before ABK truly Microsoft and ABK is truly settled, and management's in place properly. The devs that are staying because they like the company, they like Xbox's culture, that don't want to start their own studios, because we know that some of these developers they're gonna start their own little indie studios with the money that they got, and debating just depends if they're gonna stay. But getting off topic here, but I think we're gonna get the Call of Duties into Game Pass, and I think we'll get possibly some other IP license IPs that have not been able to be live on Xbox or any other platform. I think we're gonna start.
Wasn't it Hasbro that said something about that?
Correct.
About like Transformers or like something. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they would love the opportunity to bring those games back or something.
Correct.
And
I could see, and they got a couple games. They've got War for Cybertron, and there was another
Cybertron.
Fall of Cybertron. So those games coming back. We heard Bobby mention Guitar Hero. That could be something, but I think that's going to be something more down the road than I think we'll get a new game out of that. But what that's going to be, we don't know yet. So I think we're going to get a couple little surprises. But majority of the new stuff, the newer Call of Duties, I think we're going to have to wait till after their marketing deal with Sony before they can bring those into Game Pass. And I think they're just going to wait till with this whole thing with Diablo 4. I think they're going to possibly wait for Season 3 before they throw it into Game Pass. So this way they can get and then who knows, maybe they'll integrate what is it the online infrastructure of Blizzard, what's it called, the PC setting,
Demonware?
Yeah.
No.
Battle.net.
Their PC. Oh, okay.
The PC. I think that will be the next what the engineers focus on, is maybe integrate that with whatever the PC side of Xbox and kind of get things going with that, because Battle.net's a really good product. So I think that's like the possibly what we see for now. And Tony Hawk.
It was interesting because one of the things that came down last night too was Bobby Kotick's letter to not leather.
Yeah.
Leather.
Yeah, he's a man that wears leather, I guess, quite a bit. No, but
I can see it.
Leather asses chaps.
Yeah. We saw his letter to ABK employees last night as well, right? And it almost was like, it's been real for 40 years, but I'm out. But like, it also was come down because there was a lot of speculating about Bobby Kotick and what was going to happen, but we've pretty much got some concrete answers now. He's sticking around till the end of the year, and then he's out. Literally, that's
he's getting his $400 million paycheck.
2.5 months, and they asked him to stay to the transition, and then after that, they're putting in a different leadership team and all this kind of stuff. It seems like, so like that's actually a little shorter than I thought. Like it's only 2.5 months. Like I think I was expecting maybe like February. Right, maybe even March at the longest, but like,
I thought they were just going to let him finish out the contract personally through April. I thought that's what they were going to allow him to do. I just thought that made sense. I was shocked that he said end of the year. So
interesting. Yeah, I mean,
taking his money and running.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to set on his yacht. Yep.
I got a question for the panel. Who do you think would be the person to take the mantle of ABK?
Mike Ybarra.
Sarah Bond, Mike Ybarra. People are saying that Phil and Mike don't like each other. I don't know if that's true or not, or where that comes from.
I think Ybarra is out before this time next year.
Yes, I don't think it's going to be Ybarra.
I think you keep Ybarra around by giving him a position. And I think he does know how to Phil communicates. He understands how both sides operate now, which is
a huge
bonus.
Yeah.
What was their beef
knowing
before?
both sides?
What was their beef before? I don't really know.
This is new to me.
Game Pass.
Game Pass. So Ibarra wasn't a fan of Game Pass, or
no? He
helped create.
Oh, okay, right. I remember
Game
that.
Pass.
Yeah. So
Game Pass wouldn't exist without his participation.
So why is he salty? Why was he salty about that? He didn't get the credit, or
exactly?
Okay.
But essentially
giving him
that, and
now they can pay him back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he didn't get. I think he was hoping to get like what Phil was doing, but more so on the PC side of things, because he always wanted to fix the Microsoft store, And when he saw that that wasn't going to get any attention, he's like, "Hey, Blizzard's offering me some money. I'll go."
Yeah.
I don't think like Mikey Barr or any of those like heads of like the major studios take over. I think it's going to be just like someone under Activision's leadership that's not like in charge, like a Mikey Barr, like the president of actual Activision is going to be the
Somebody
new,
who's
like,
already familiar.
yeah.
It needs to be
Kotick?
because
Isn't he leaving?
well, he's
No,
leaving at the end of the
he's
year,
the CEO or whatever. I'm talking about like the
Oh,
actual
yeah.
president under that.
somebody underneath him. Somebody there has to be somebody else under there that definitely
intern?
deserve that spot. I don't know exactly. No, not an intern. I don't know. I don't know specifically who.
I think
we're definitely
Lulu's
throwing some good
too
names in
low
the
down
hat,
the
but-
chain. She's like the CFO or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's
I mean,
Lulu is the head of communications.
or,
so-
yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But something needs to happen because the amount of employees that they're bringing in, staff, whatever you want to call it, is insurmountable. Like this is another side of the coin that we're also going to have to see play out because there's already a layoff crisis kind of thing going on with a lot of other tech companies, right? And with you bringing 10,000 plus other people in, and you were already that's like Microsoft in its complete is like that much, isn't it?
Well,
Totality.
Xbox's division, but Microsoft as a whole, this
Xbox's
is like
division,
maybe
okay.
a 10th.
That's just crazy to think about, especially when you went from 5 to what was it, 44 studios, I think Psycho mentioned before the DMs, and now you go to so many additional people that there has to be some redundancies there, that there has to be somebody that can really weed out some of the fat. I mean, it's going to be needed. So
Marketing teams usually are the
44
first ones
studios.
to get, withered down a bit. Financial stuff will probably be the next group. They'll have like independent ones for their, divisions, much like Bethesda does, but
right.
the staffing will probably be cut in half in that regard. HR will probably see some substantial cuts. I mean, they'll still have an HR rep for that division, but the staff, if it's more than like, let's say 10 people, they'll probably be cut in
Yeah, all
half.
the duplicate positions, you don't need them. So
That's just crazy to think about too, because that's hard. That's gonna be hard to deal with, man. Because that's a
Yeah.
lot of families that were, But there's also, again, the money pool will also be different for them, having the full access to their entire catalog now and everything that existed at Activision.
Also,
So
Microsoft
that's
usually
another part
does
of it.
some pretty decent like layoff packages. They give you like
Yeah.
6 months to a year of like
reference, yeah.
salary or whatever.
to
So
help
it's
you
like,
out. Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, they'll probably be looking at those that are closer to 20 years plus, and probably offering them an even sweeter separation pack kind of thing.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy. A lot of them that have been there for a long time are probably cashing out with this deal too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily too disappointed even if they leave, right?
Yeah.
But you make a good point though, Steel. But real quick, hey, chat, appreciate you guys. 250 plus people here watching.
Chat.
Appreciate every single
Let's
one
go.
of
Turn it
you.
up. Start
And
that.
if you like the
Start
content
that.
here, hit the
Start the train.
yeah, hit the like. Oh gosh, hit the like button, sub, notification bell, all that.
Start
cool
that
stuff.
sub train.
It's super appreciate you guys. But
Check out the coffee.
God, you brought up a good point though. Like I think it was Clobrel that put this out. I can't remember. And I'm sorry if I got the person wrong, but there was somebody put out this huge thing of like graphs of all the studios and all that
Right.
stuff. And the estimated employees that they have, and I'm going to assume it's somewhat accurate, is 2,500 employees for Xbox Game Studios already, right?
So just 25.
But Bethesda added 2,300 plus, right? Activision 7,500,
almost
Blizzard
Damn.
7,000,
Oh shit.
and
That's
King
2.5 times.
and
Damn.
King 2,500. Now put this in
2.5
perspective.
times. Yep.
King,
That's 20K.
the original Xbox studios that Xbox
They're
already
approaching
had,
Ubisoft.
and even acquired some of these studios like Obsidian, Double Fine, all these kind of studios, right? Brought them all together in Xbox Game Studios before Bethesda, right?
Uh-huh.
All those together is less than King.
Mhm.
That is crazy to think
Less
about.
than King. So you add Activision and Bethesda. I mean, sorry, you add Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda, what we've already kind of have now. You're at
Right.
roughly 4,800, almost 5,000. We'll call it 5,000.
Yeah,
right?
5K, yeah.
Blizzard alone is 7.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you buy a whole business.
Activision is 7,500. Every single one of these individual parts of ABK are bigger than any one part that's already existed already within the current.
Yeah, you're adding about 16,000 people.
You're adding. You're really, if you say 5,000, you're quadrupling your employee size here, right? And this is what we try and put in perspective. This is transformational, right? The monster that is Activision Blizzard King. How many games King makes, Blizzard and all their studios. Blizzard alone is more than Xbox had together with Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda, ZeniMax, right? Like, and that's, people aren't even thinking, that's, everybody's thinking about Call of Duty, right? Activision probably has more people working on Call of Duty than any.
Oh, no, it's
the
a fact.
games.
Yeah, I mean, every
fact.
single fucking one of their studios works in Call of Duty.
Right, and then all of the developers between Xbox and Bethesda put together.
Yeah, I'm
It
looking
is
at the
crazy
list right
insane
now.
when you think about this, right? Like,
This is
Because now
this is like
those
the biggest
developers-
acquisition Microsoft has ever made.
Yeah, go ahead. Facts,
Are you in a
facts,
spaceship?
Oh, my audio might be messing up. 1 second.
no, you're good.
facts. Well, I was just going to say, though, but
weird.
the other great thing, I know we have brought it down just a little bit, bringing it into like a little bit of the bad side of it, but bringing it back into the good side of it. All these studios and all these developers also don't have to only work on this one game anymore. And people are also running with this whole narrative when they have been running with it that, oh, y'all think that Microsoft getting ABK is going to change anything for Call of Duty? They're still going to be in the sweatshop. No, Microsoft isn't going to change anything.
For the first couple of years, they will be.
And
No crunch policy. So,
but exactly, there's so many things that are going to end up.
I mean,
being
they're
of value to them, especially when you can spread out that wealth, right? Because you have all that.
Well,
talent.
they're not. It's not a company crumbling within its own weight anymore. Like, they have Microsoft's backing, so like they had to get this game out every single year in order to survive. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, and there had to
they
be a
don't-
reason why, like with Guitar Hero, why Bobby Kotick was bringing up all these older franchises like Guitar Hero, because like what you just said, Mav, like Call of Duty was their way of kind of living as a company, and they don't necessarily have to do that anymore. But you also have to think about the importance of Call of Duty as a franchise. They don't really want to mess with that formula, because that is why one of the big reasons why they purchased them was Call of Duty and King. King was a big reason for the purchase, but it's going to be a balance of them not wanting to mess up the formula. But Phil knows there's a lot of franchises that he wants to bring back, right? He had the thing on his shirt, that one event. I forgot which game that was. Hexen. Yeah, he had Hexen. There's been discussions about Guitar Hero. So we know behind the scenes that there is something where they want to bring back these older franchises. Now, which ones they will bring back, I think there's a lot of potential with stuff like StarCraft. Getting that audience there.
I think they're already working on StarCraft.
Yeah, and there's some games. What I find interesting is there's games that are in development, like the Blizzard survival game, that we don't know much about, and apparently it's not too far away. Maybe like next year, we'll get more news on. That's the stuff I'm interested in. Like Call of Duty, yes, it's interesting. But what I find interesting is the games that are outside of the Call of Duty.
I mean,
it's
not, you're not going to see like
prototype.
the fruits of that until like 5 years down the line, till when all those Call of Duty teams can actually become like separate, and they're not forced to work on Call of Duty. It's going to take time before that like machine of Call of Duty is like nerfed or whatever.
But we also
they can,
know
like,
that
branch out.
Activision was trying to resolve that issue within themselves even before this acquisition happened. They formed a new studio within Infinity Ward as well. So Infinity Ward is supposed to be working on some other project as well. So they realized the kind of what they had, the issue they were having, to where you're too reliable within the Activision side on one property, and they started to try and address that. Now, How far along they are in that process is going to be interesting to find out, but I don't think they're very far. So I think you're right. It's
Yeah,
going
I
to be a
mean,
few years before we see some of those.
they
couple
just came
years at
out the
least,
other
for
day
sure.
and announced that they were like bragging that High Moon Studios and Toys for Bob Brothers like, yeah, we're bringing back some old Warzone maps. They made it for us. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I think that real quick before I lose my thought, I think that what will happen, what we'll probably more than likely see because of how many employees that ABK has, because we've mentioned before, but I think that Phil has these meetings and it's like, hey, we'd like to see what thoughts, what ideas you guys have, and would like to see if you guys, a small splintered team of whatever studio, decides to make whatever vision you have. Because I mean, look at John Johannes at Tango Gameworks and that phenomenal game we got of Hi-Fi Rush, things like that. There are plenty of employees within ABK that would love to do something outside of Call of Duty. Now, some of them might love Call of Duty, and if especially if they do go on a 2 or 3 year cycle with Call of Duty, to kind of let these games have a little bit more of a development time and not everybody all hands on deck, and let other studios kind of start doing their own thing and kind of get a feel. Now they won't do a big shift right away. They'll wait and kind of see how things.
Yeah, we won't see the fruits of this till next year.
No, exactly. At least 3 years before we start seeing, Raven Studio start.
Yeah, 2-3 years till that studio can get transitioned over and freed up, and then after that they got to make the game. So another 3 to 5 years.
So I think that we'll start seeing something down the road, but I think we'll see a new studios kind of splinter off of this and kind of like, because there's a lot of employees. So if you have new studios, you can justify keeping all those employees on a payroll because they're not focusing on just one game. Now they're focusing on other games to fulfill the Game Pass games for Game Pass and other things. And on another note, I do think like Mike Ybarra, I think possibly they might split the PC side with the console side and let maybe Mike head up PC, and let him focus on that, and let Matt Booty focus on the console. So this way he's not overwhelmed with all that.
That's a good thought. Shout out to Randolph Thor 19 with the $10 super chat. Said, what a beautiful day, guys. But I do have a question. How do you want them to handle the Game Pass drops? All at once or piecemeal monthly? Like 1 month could be crash themed, etc. Oh, geez.
I mean, personally, I would be fine with them giving every single game all at the same time, but they're going to piece it out.
Insane. I think the smartest thing to do though is
the smartest thing is
because we can't all play at like 50 games at once, right? So,
but the thing is, like, all the games are going to drop. You probably already played them anyway.
Like, yeah. Well, so
no,
I think what they're going to do is have convenient drops to fill in the pipeline for Game Pass and the news cycle. When they're like news is down that week or whatever, they have constant stuff to keep the engagement and stuff excited and continue working because they're probably going to have to make decisions on what's the priorities along the way as well. So I think piecemealing it out over a longer period of time is going to be the right way to do it. Now, how long that period of time is, that's a different kind of question. Like, does it take 3 months to get everything going into 2024? Does it take the entire year to start getting everything next year? Do they do like 3 a month? Like how? That's the question, I think. But I think
I don't think you're doing 3 a month. I think you're probably doing like 6 to 8 games a month at that point. Like you could do like all the Infinity War games for 1 month, and then the next month you could do all the Treyarch games. Then the next month you could do like all the Crash games. The next month you could do like random stuff. So you would have like
Rand saying with the themes, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the smart way to do it.
I really want to see Tony Hawk Underground. There's a lot of franchises I want to come back. Tony Hawk Underground and Prototype. I think Prototype has a lot of potential as a franchise. I do think they're going to start bringing some of those stuff in. If you were to say which franchises are they going to bring to Game Pass first? I feel like it's games like Prototype, not necessarily Call of Duty yet or Diablo yet, because Call of Duty, we don't know what the rights are. Diablo, they might want to wait till after that season, funnel in some good positive feedback like you guys are saying. But they could bring back some of these other ones, like Spider-Man and Transformers. I guess they just need to figure out the rights with Hasbro for Transformers.
Yeah,
and
they have to go get all those license back, so that's going to be a while. The easiest stuff to put in there is already the stuff that's in the store, like the 360 back compat games and some of the older Xbox One titles. You could flip a switch on those and put those out tomorrow.
And I think the first thing will probably, like Psycho said earlier, the Call of Duty stuff, right? It's just going to be what people want the most, or they're talking about the most. So, but man, it's gonna be interesting to find out. The other thing, and shout out to C Money and Doodle. I was hopped by their show earlier to talk about this stuff. And C Money brought up a good point too, like the amount of support studios that Activision has right now, right? All making Call of Duty and stuff. If they do slow down Call of Duty and have these development studios work on other things, are they able to maybe use some of these studios to help support the other games that Microsoft is making right now to help speed up development?
I wouldn't see why. We know that Rare helped Arcane with Redfall after they had that problem. So Microsoft shares their studios around and supports each other. I don't see why that would change because it's Activision.
Right. I mean, what if, a team can help on Halo, or a team can help on Gears or Hellblade or whatever. I mean, they have a lot of talent and so many developers, way more than they currently have. So it could potentially speed up the development on a lot of their games, not just the ABK stuff that they have going on. We got another $10 very generous super chat from the great Randall Thor 19. Okay, another question for the panel. If Xbox does a back compat drop for ABK games, what do you want to see included? Wolverine, Spidey, Singularity?
Singularity is still one of the only games that's up on the 360 store that's not delisted, so they could flip a switch on that one again. Like I was saying, tomorrow, the Spidey stuff again, they have to go get licensed for. But
just talk to Disney and it'll be over.
Did Activision make X-Men Legends? That was them, right? That was like Raven, I think.
They made.
I love that game.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance too, I believe.
Yeah, they published them. I don't know if they made them, but they for sure published Marvel's Ultimate Alliance.
So they got probably just talk to Disney, and Disney seems interested at least to try and figure out either buying other studios or trying to invest more into gaming with their IPs and stuff. So maybe they'll make that deal with Microsoft.
It's just tough because I just don't know if Microsoft is going to take the time to go out and get those old licenses for Transformers and Spider-Man stuff.
But didn't they already say something about Transformers like a while ago?
No, Hasbro. Hasbro put out the bat signal. They'll go do it. There's no reason not to go do it. It's nothing but a win. More games you can bring into Game Pass.
Do you see these Transformer games that Hasbro's licensing right now? I mean, they're shit. Like the thing that just hit the stores this week, and they had the tactics game they released. Like
they just had a new Transformers game come out this week.
It's like, come on, are those Transformers is a huge brand? It's still a huge movie property, and those are the kind of things that we're seeing come out from Transformers. Please, get the license, Xbox.
It's still weird though, because they didn't really do that with any Bethesda stuff.
There wasn't really anything they had to go get.
I mean, there was some 360 stuff out there, but they didn't have to go get it. And they don't have Quake 4.
Huh?
They don't have Quake 4 out on the Xbox. So there's stuff that they could have done with Bethesda that they never did.
Okay. But again, we're talking about licensed IP, right? We're talking about big stuff where it's like Transformers, because again, Transformers is an underutilized IP. What we talked about was with the Hasbro putting up the bat signal. Then you go talk to Hasbro about a lot of their IP. Now that you have studios and you start working towards that future, and who's to say that you couldn't get a Transformers new game out of the deal as well if you go pick up that licensed IP? Marvel Ultimate Alliance, you go again. Disney's going to cut deals with whoever they got to cut. I know Ultimate Alliance 3 was obviously Switch only as an exclusive, but the fact is you got 1 and 2 sitting there doing nothing because it's been delisted. obviously Disney's going to be more than willing to re-up that licensing, and it's a win for you because a lot of people have fond memories of Ultimate Alliance. If you have that exclusive to Game Pass, that you re-up that license and you bring them back to Game Pass, that's another big win, because there are people that will go back and play those games because they don't have to be up to date. Now, even if you do go do that, who's to say your backwards compatibility team doesn't up-res them, right? There's a lot of opportunity here. I think Singularity, the other one that I would love to see come back, I don't know if they go do this, but Time Shift was another one in that 360 era. I'd love to see them bring back as well. But I think, Jasper, to your point, and I hear you, like, I just think there's opportunity for bigger deals there, and there's opportunities for more windows to open up with that license stuff versus, some other stuff that maybe they passed on. So
the way I'm looking at it is like, is it worth the time for them to go out there and do that when they could just focus on making new stuff? Like,
They could do both.
To me, yes, just based on, I mean, the back compat team only really stopped because they couldn't really license.
And the back compat team, Boom was talking about this the other day, 3-bit, was the ones doing the work. They just had to get the approval from the publishers, right?
Yeah, and they don't really necessarily have to do that. They don't have to negotiate with Activision, like, hey, can you please put Transformers on? They could just kind of do it and just go ahead and talk with Hasbro now. So I think they will leverage that. I mean, they have these IPs now, and Pong, I feel like you hit it on the money, where I feel like you have a big company like Activision now that is known for leveraging different IPs outside of, like, they have their Call of Duty, yes, they have their Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, but what they have done in the past is do license IP like Transformers or Spider-Man. They have relationships like Disney, and I feel like they would want to really utilize that, because Sony is with Spider-Man. Sony is essentially using their negotiating power of owning the Spider-Man movie license to make that video game license. I feel like if I was Microsoft, I would be like, okay, Activision in the past, they've had a pretty good relationship with Hasbro. How can we utilize that? Essentially, we already have two games. Leverage it. There 3 whatever games that has already been made. We can put that back on, and then, hey, maybe come back to the table. Maybe we can do more Transformer games. Maybe you bring in like a From Software. They could do
Hasbro has a lot of IP. A lot of IP that could be turned into video games very easily, for sure. And Bobby Hawk, the only reason why they said that was because they had run out of opportunities. They had explored all the opportunities for backwards compatibility. This library, now that they acquire, is a new opportunity, and there's no reason why they won't go back and do another batch of backwards compatibility. Correct. They now own the rights to the original Tenchu as well, 1 through 3, right? So that remake is certainly a possibility, which would be gigantic as well. They should go talk to From Software for that.
As far as back compat, I'm going to throw one out there: Blur.
Blur, sure.
Blur, yes. And I really got to address Bobby thing, where Bobby Hawk, he just said that they went to Microsoft first for Spider-Man. Did you guys realize what studios they had?
None
at the time.
None.
They had like 3,
they had nobody to work
4
on it.
They have 44 studios now. I think people forget that context of where Microsoft was at the time, where Microsoft and Xbox, where they were, like, this is the first generation, I would say, where Microsoft and Xbox are finally like kind of clicking with each other. Like Satya and Phil, the fact that Xbox is willing to spend $70 billion in gaming just shows you they're finally serious about.
And the other thing, we've already seen other things too. They did the Pirates of the Caribbean content for Sea of Thieves. They changed the deal for the Indiana Jones to make it exclusive and put it in Game Pass and all that stuff as well, right? So those things we know about because of the leaks that came out from this whole thing. So that Microsoft at the time was in a different position, like you're saying. Like, they had to grow their IPs and rely on those a lot more. Now they have so many damn games and so many different studios working on stuff. Like they're less dependent on any one thing. And if they think something's going to sell really well or take off, then maybe it's worth the risk or doing something that they know is going to bring people to Game Pass. Because if they get people in Game Pass, regardless of the long-term effects, they're hoping that person's going to stay. It's not just a one-off game that they don't necessarily going to have the rights to anymore, and it is what it is, and they're going to be like dependent on that. Now it's like, hey, we have all these other stuff, but like, hey, maybe this is going to be a draw to Game Pass. Like they don't have like the Spider-Man right now that PlayStation has, like with the popular brand that's outside of gaming. Indiana Jones is going to be that. They're going to have opportunities now, I think, with Activision Blizzard because they have a history of doing those games. We also know that there's another licensed game within ZeniMax Bethesda as well that's coming that has not been announced yet. We're all been speculating on what that is, and there may be even 2 actually unannounced licensed games under ZeniMax Bethesda that we don't know about. So there's a lot to go there, and it's a different time now for Microsoft than it was at that time. In fact, if I was Microsoft, I would go and see what's going on with that KOTOR remake because you know what? That seems to be in trouble, right? What was the latest things? The whole video was delisted and
they got
YouTube.
delisted.
So, you know,
it wasn't
up to PlayStation's like.
They said that they ran out of
movie
license
quality
on
or
that or
whatever.
some shit. So
Yeah, that was bullshit.
it wasn't
game.
PlayStation-y enough for them, so they I think they just said we're not funding this if you don't put more cutscenes and action, and I think that kills what KOTOR was. That's the one thing I don't like that I'm seeing is that games are changing what they were to fit a certain narrative that they had for as PlayStation. They want a certain this is their mold.
It's not just
They want their
PlayStation.
game.
It's
I'll
not just
also say
PlayStation,
for that
though.
trailer
It's-
thing real quick,
But
it's
Ubisoft
just-
also
Yeah, I get your
unlisted one
point,
of
though,
their Star
Psycho.
Wars
It's-
Outlaws trailers too. So
Yeah.
just
And they
Your
passed
point-
it to
your
2
point
That's
is
different
dead too
studios.
then, Jasper.
That's why Baldur's Gate 3 was so important, right? That's why the success of
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is so important to show
Yeah.
people that you don't have to change your formula just to
Correct.
get more people to play it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And-
yep.
And I
Anyways,
really think
that's a whole different topic.
yeah. And I really
It's an
do
interesting
think that
topic, though.
and I really do think that people thinking that because Microsoft turned down that Spider-Man and whatever license stuff that they won't do nothing anymore is fooling themselves, because I guarantee that they see that with Transformers, as we said, going out just to get the license, as long as it's not, if they trying to hold them for ransom, if it's reasonable, they'll do it. And the same thing with the Spider-Man and the Marvel Ultimate Alliance. If it's reasonable, they're asking for a reasonable bag.
I just
I
think
could see
some of
them,
that though is like
because-
it's short-term gain. It's short-term. It's
Yeah, but
short-term
then
gain.
Now
and it's
you
like,
got Spider-Man and Marvel characters
But-
that everybody wants
You
to
don't
play
need that.
on your game.
Is
in Game
it
Pass.
short-term game
No.
though if you get them to subscribe to
It's
Game
long.
Pass?
It's
yeah, but
long-term,
if someone's going to jump
but
in
it's-
to Game
yeah.
Pass to play like old 360 Spider-Man,
Yeah.
they're probably not going to stay
You're
along.
But
not
what
coming here
happens
for
if
that.
the new
Yeah.
comic book game comes out and they got, let me try this out?
Yeah, then
'cause
you
they
jump
got
in
one
for a month
coming
and
out.
jump out. Anyone who's jumping into Game Pass for a Spider-Man 360 game isn't staying. Like,
No, it's not. It's not.
I would
it's
I
not
would
about one
disagree with
particular
that because like then you have other games coming out. And it's like, hey, I already have this, and like, I think that getting the hook for somebody is
That's what
always
it
the
is.
hardest thing to do, and like generate the excitement to try something, right? And it may not be
Plus-
an old game that does it, but we're talking also about these new possibilities with new games as well. Like
that's why
and-
I'm saying it's short-term game and they should focus on the new stuff.
well,
But
But
I-
people
I
have a
think-
hard time
Value.
canceling
I think
services.
it-
Like
it-
once
it's
you're
not just
in,
about
like
one-
it's less than 50% of them wind up canceling, even after several months. It's like one of those things. Just get your foot in the door, and you don't trap them, but it
Yeah.
definitely makes it harder for them to leave.
but it's also not a lot of work for them to do that, as opposed to make a whole new game as well. So your return on investment may not be like, you're not asking for a lot. You know what I mean? If you do back compat on some of these things, like, okay, we have the back compat team. I mean, last time they did the back compat team stuff, and they were just flooding games from back compat just constantly in the service, and it was like every like couple weeks it's like 10 new games, whatever, and it's like, all right, all of a sudden now there's this huge library we can go to, and if you have these guys go ahead and doing all these things, and why not go and just see, hey, what's the cost for the license to get this old game into Game Pass or in onto the service now with back compat, and it's not going to cost as much as like developing this whole big huge new game, right? And also you don't have all the development cost and all that stuff tied up into it too, so you're not asking for like this huge massive benefit from doing this. It's about a cumulative effect more so than anything, you know. So
Plus
it just depends. It's
Plus
not
you
the
can
same,
use it as test marketing.
and it's not the same developers working on it either. Like, so it's not like you're taking up the studio's time away from doing a brand new game to work on back compat stuff. You know what I mean? It's like a whole different situation. So it just depends on what they decide, and if they're willing to pay the money to get those games there. I think the development side from the back compat team is the irrelevant issue. It's about what it costs to get those licenses back to put the games back out.
It's not about one game. Like, I think it's just about having multiple things for multiple people. I don't know. I feel like when you start to add in like the whole old game argument, like old games don't matter.
Well, that's all PlayStation Plus has is old games. They also only have old movies too. So if they don't matter, then why is it flooding your whole?
I feel like if you're just having the library
Right.
of Activision games, because you want people to associate Activision now with Xbox. So when you're like, oh, you have all these catalog of this is now Xbox, it's a little bit more of a powerful message than having just like one or two games, if that makes sense.
I just think it's kind of like that GoldenEye remake that came out. Everyone's like, oh yeah, GoldenEye's coming out, and then no one fucking played it. Like, that's what's going to happen. Is this shit's going to come out and no one's going to fucking play it, so then Microsoft's going to realize it was a waste of money.
Maybe.
Well, they will use it as test marketing.
Smart,
Like,
you're
depending
right.
on the level of engagement will determine if they go and get that IP for a new game or re-up the license and stuff. So, you know, GoldenEye, I don't think hit because the multiplayer wasn't in it for it.
Yeah.
And
that's probably
That's
because
a
of
fact.
And that's
I was
because-
it
waiting for
wasn't
that
really an
multiplayer.
up-res or anything
didn't-
like that. So it was,
and that's probably because of Nintendo, right? I mean, that's like
Yeah.
a situation that happened because of that. So,
I think it was a lot more than just that, but
yeah.
that
Well,
game was way outside of its range.
what I'm saying is like they weren't able to do as much of they wanted to it potentially because of the situation with the rights and stuff that they just kind of gave us what they could, you know. But who knows the whole story there. Besides that though, I do have a question for Pong real quick, because this is something that we had touched on before, and we ended up seeing in the leaked documents as well, using the same language, building a moat, right?
Yeah. Booty.
Has this accomplished that goal?
Yeah, they're close. I think they still need that Eastern publisher or developers. They need that. They need to be worldwide to make that moat 100% locked. They got to have every area, and that includes JRPGs covered as well, with those Eastern action games that they are still somewhat missing on. So if they do that, then yes. But they're obviously, again, the Activision Blizzard King deal was the complete package they were looking for, because it hit all fronts that they need, right? Or that they envision themselves needing: mobile, PC, and the console side of things. But now you're talking about, I saw some numbers thrown around today. If you break the teams up, what we were talking about, if you break down the teams and how many teams are underneath each one of these developers, you're looking at 40, 44, somewhere in that neighborhood. I saw that number being thrown around today. They're close. I think if they go to the East, they pick up a publisher like Sega, that developers, or even a Square and some developers, then I think you can say they've got their moat, because they've got, at that point, every single genre covered, and whatever game that they can't necessarily go maybe make a deal with for Game Pass, they can have one of their developers will probably be making it. So yeah, I think the moat is almost complete at this point. They are almost insulated from whatever happens in the rest of the industry. Whatever everybody else decides to do at the end of the day, the rest of the industry could go, destroy themselves, And if Microsoft and Xbox want to continue in the gaming sector, they could supply enough games and enough content to keep Game Pass going and to keep all their players happy, not just in the console space, but also in mobile and on the PC side of things. So yeah, I think that they're this close now, man. They're this close. They're not done, but they're this close, right? A couple more studios here and there, some more support studios, some more of the stuff that we've talked about, even some of the Western stuff we've talked about, and they've got it. They're locked in. They're already now, almost the world's biggest single publisher, especially just not in terms of revenue per se. Obviously, PlayStation's still number one, but in terms of overall size, they're now approaching Ubisoft in terms of employees, in terms of studios, in terms of what they can put out. It's ridiculous right now what they're going to be able to do when they move things around and get everybody integrated.
And Phil said they're not done. Chris Jones with the $2 super chat said Square Enix is next, then we will be good. I got a question for Steel real quick. Steel, as we're just talking about with the moat and what Pong Soul was talking about, Chris says Square's next and all this kind of stuff. Is Phil saying it's not done as well in previous interviews while ABK was going on, right? The next move, are they targeted to specific needs within the ecosystem, or are they just taking advantage of situations that are out there?
I think that they are taking advantage of the ecosystem and what's available to them. But I also think that they're working on that outreach, right? Because the main thing, and I'm always going to lean more towards Sega than anybody else currently in the industry, because it just makes the most sense partnership wise and just also content wise for their platform. You want more family friendly games. You want more of a variety of games. You want people that have legacy titles like Phantasy Star Online to bring that to a Game Pass day and date. Again, if you can even give them more of a back end to be able to do something. Free? You said what?
Wasn't Phantasy Star free?
Yeah, but if you tie it as part of it being in the Xbox ecosystem, like the first, when you hear Phantasy Star, you think of Xbox. I think that would do a lot as far as like brand recognition, because Phantasy Star isn't like some small IP. Sure, has gone dormant for a lot of people, and it may have become niche. But if you put it back out there, especially as on an MMO standpoint, it's one of those that, like, if they had the proper brains behind it, it could be extremely successful.
Is that other Phantasy Star that released updated recently, or like
New Genesis?
Ago? Yeah, is that still in Game Pass? Because I remember when it came out, it was like in Game Pass.
Well, they were doing the Game Pass perks for it.
Yeah, they were doing perks for Game Pass. Yeah, you get perks.
Is it free or is it cost?
Phantasy Star itself is free.
Okay.
Yes.
But there's content in it, like future, like if you want to continue the story or whatever else, that's when you kind of have to invest in. Okay, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 14. They do that also, where you can get in the first 50, 60 levels, and then after that, now you need to pay for this expansion if you want to continue. Same thing with World of Warcraft. All of them kind of do that similar thing. But that would be my main one, would definitely be Sega. So, I mean, again, they're going to be on the prowl. They need to keep expanding because the industry is going to continue to grow. And there has to be somebody to nurture a lot of this content that's out here. And I'm not as down on Microsoft about them creating bad games. Like, is Halo Infinite where it needs to be? No, but how long has Halo been Halo, though? What other game, again, I will always bring up this argument. All the games that people bring up in argument and say that, oh, well, look at these games and look at how they turned out. Look how long those games have been around. And you expect for these games to continue to hold that same, again, kids are not what I was back in the day. I was excited about Halo. That was my thing. Kids today are like Fortnite. That's my thing. Roblox. It's completely different. So it's like on certain aspects of it, you have to do other things to continue to expand out and just be smart more so about your employees. If you want to consider them that, more so plans. And I think outside of Sega, and again, that's still an Eastern play to me. Because that gets you an office right there in the center of it all. Like, you can grow that office out even more and give instant competition and instant, if you want to call it a threat, to that ecosystem, knowing that big dog Microsoft is literally right there.
And they're a triple threat too.
Again, yeah, that's the other thing. And then also knowing that Sega is also getting more involved with online. They've also made mobile plays again with Rovio and such. So it's like some things seem to be adding up really well. So that's what I would pick. That makes the most sense. But outside of that, anything in the East that they can grab just to bring more of that flavor in, because we have not, at least on the gaming side of things. And I think it's the West's fault for not being as exposed to it, or we wanting to be exposed. And shout out to anime for making it more, I guess, digestible in many ways, outside of the whole tentacle stuff that people like.
Yeah. See, I think that's where
that style
the Eastern style games kind of hurt me, because like I feel like a lot of the anime games, they kind of all look and play the same. So it's like,
well, it doesn't have to be anime. That's the thing about that. Like, the overabundance of anime games, I get, because yes, they do start looking very similar, and there's only so much of an art style that you can take unless you decide to do something completely different, which is it's difficult to do, and make it pop. I mean, more so like a Black Desert Online, where it's not necessarily, I would say it's lifelike, but they're actual developed characters. They're customizable, like kind of what we saw from Chrono Odyssey. That new MMO, that's from the East, and it has more of that lifelike nature to it, but being in that fantasy world, right? It just, that's what I mean.
Details,
it seems like
right,
they're the detail too, something that I always talk about, because they seem to be doing Breath of the Wild the way that we want Breath of the Wild in Unreal Engine 5, everything swaying and all the motion that you have now, but take it to that umpteen degree, right? Exactly, unlimited stamina. That's what I'm about. But no, but yeah, that's kind of what I would be looking for, where my direction would be,
right on,
as far as this.
Yeah, it makes sense, dude. Alvin hit us with a $5 super chat, bro. Appreciate you, Alvin. Says, I know they want to invest East, but I feel Iron Galaxy and Crystal Dynamics have to be next due to urgency. Cannot afford to lose either to Sony.
Certain Affinity is next.
Certain Affinity.
We're talking about that.
Yeah.
They need to be. If they're not, and if they're not, and somebody else drops a bag on their door, and whatever that Halo project that they're working on is now, and again, it can't be that way if they're working on Halo.
Are they working on something? It's been like 2.5 fucking years.
You're true. You're right, Jasper. You're right.
Certain Affinity with Halo and their Call of Duty support.
They said themselves in an interview that the thing they're doing with Microsoft is the biggest thing they've ever done. Right. So I
fucking Bob, tell me about it.
That's what they've been doing.
Bob, I got kind of the same question for you. Alvin says Iron Galaxy and Crystal Dynamics and stuff like that. Like, is that the next move, or is it going East, and are they trying to maybe do both at the same time, or like what's their focus now? Because ABK's done, the shackles are off. They're free to kind of go after it now.
I think I would agree that like definitely shoring up some of the more local like partnerships and everything would make more sense to me. Like, because like everyone's saying, like we can't afford to lose something like that to a competitor, or like risk all the relationships that we built up. But at the same time, like when you see like when they were over there for the Tokyo Game Show, like with Phil and the team meeting up with like Kojima and like the partnerships that they're creating and building. I think they're probably more in that type of stage when it comes to like Eastern companies, from just what I can tell, because trying to buy like a Japanese company, I can imagine would be absolutely insane. And it makes more sense that they would probably look locally and shore up those relationships before they try and expand globally, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We know they've tried multiple times. I mean, they tried to buy Nintendo. They tried to buy Capcom before. Jez Corden had the talks before about Square Enix and everything going on there as well.
Tried to buy Konami.
Yeah, they tried to buy. So they've been trying for a while, and they're gonna get one eventually, because right now they only have Tango Gameworks, right?
Yeah,
it's like their Japanese company, right? And instead they've been focusing now on doing Game Pass deals. You know, they had with Capcom like Exo Primal. They have the other was it the Path of the Goddess as well as coming out. They did the Chinese game that was the Battle Royale Melee game that came out in Game Pass as well. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
Well, it does.
No, not Wolong.
Naraka
Blade Point. Yeah, they did that. They had Wolong as well.
It does make me want to ask the question though: is like, at what point though after they reach a certain size, do they have like that leverage that they need with Game Pass where they don't necessarily just have to own everything, like where like other companies will be more willing, like they've already shown that they can build those partnerships and bring these games to Game Pass on day one already. Like at what point do they have the
I think it
leverage in
starts
the
now.
platform?
But Bob,
Yeah.
the big third party stuff still doesn't need
Right.
Game Pass,
Yeah.
right? And it will probably never get to that point where a Take-Two's banging on Xbox's door going, let us put Grand Theft Auto 8 on here, please.
You saw where they
Like,
were
Right.
estimating like
you
Star
know what I'm
Wars
saying?
$300 million, and they're not going to pay that.
That's
But-
right. And they get upcharged for those third parties as well. Even the middling third parties will upcharge Xbox right now. That might eventually even
Yeah.
out, but overall, the big games are still going to have to come from your first party,
Right.
the majority.
Well,
yeah.
and I don't necessarily expect
Yeah.
I don't necessarily expect it to ever to be that point, but I mean,
Yeah.
after a purchase like Activision Blizzard, like it's the biggest acquisition Microsoft's ever made. It's the,
Mhm.
as Pong pointed out, the 65th largest like company acquisition that's ever happened. Like,
Yeah.
obviously there was a number of like hurdles, like regulatory wise, that they had to get over. Like, we're not going to be able to buy, or Microsoft's not going to, like, we're not buying them, but Microsoft's not going to be able to buy the entirety of
No.
like the gaming
Absolutely not.
like
Yep.
business that
Yep.
like the whole market. So
I
at a
They
certain
buy
point-
Japan as a whole instead of.
I think
let's just own
I
Japan.
think a good sized publisher, decent sized publisher in the East will be easier to get through regulators as well.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
besides,
It's a different market.
that, I think they focus on individual studios that are necessities in the West,
Yep.
right? And
I think that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
To-
fast approvals in the beginning, and then
smaller
maybe
acquisitions too, right? And like
smaller.
and seeing Phil's track record as well, he's usually acquired studios or publishers that have been down or that are in need of rescuing or need to have a partner to be able to fund their games for the future and have been struggling to do so. And if you're Phil Spencer and you're looking at what's going on out there, and you have studios that are currently tied up in some of your existing games, right? Like, you have Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, and shout out to Alvin for mentioning Crystal Dynamics, because like if you look at what's going on there with Embracer Group, as Microsoft and Xbox, I don't want to see any more layoffs happen at Crystal Dynamics,
Mhm.
right? Like, they are working on Perfect Dark, which they've been working on for a long time now, with the initiative, and the kind of model that they've been working towards has been very dependent on that third party publisher or developer support for those games. So if you can shore that up and wrap it into first party and help grow those studios instead of them potentially crumbling, it's going to strengthen the ability to make those games under the initiative and Daryl Gallagher and all those kind of things. So Crystal Dynamics makes a lot of sense. Now, Eidos Montreal obviously is kind of in the same situation there, so they should be thrown in as well with Embracer Group. We all considered beforehand that maybe Embracer Group was just kind of almost like a holding company, acquiring those companies from Square Enix while Microsoft was tied up with ABK. So maybe that actually turns out to pan out to be true. The layoffs that happened at Crystal Dynamics recently were from the marketing side, I believe, right, as well. So that's not necessarily going to hurt any of the development aspects of it. So I go ahead and try and salvage and save some of these studios that might be in trouble under Embracer Group right now, and those two especially. But you're also giving Embracer Group an influx of cash and taking a load off of them as well. That's going to help Embracer Group, and that's kind of Phil's style as well, because he doesn't want to see them struggle, I don't think. And you're going to be shoring up development prowess for your own first-party studios, which also Eidos Montreal's rumored to have been working on Fable, right? So that is going to be huge for first-party. Now, to y'all's point about Certain Affinity as well, the fear with Certain Affinity is that even if Certain Affinity says they don't want to be bought or whatever, or that they're owned by partially in other companies and all this kind of stuff, is lots of situations there. The fear would be that, okay, and I don't know who all's ownership groups of Certain Affinity, but if they did decide to sell to Sony, there would be an incentive for Sony to acquire Certain Affinity. Why? Because of the ties and history to Bungie, right? Which is owned by Sony, which also, if you look at what Sony's trying to do, they need multiplayer support right now. They
need multiplayer experience, and Certain Affinity is now working on a big, basically a standalone Halo. So now they're proving that they can make their own standalone multiplayer games that's highly visible to Sony right
Actions.
now.
Yeah. So you look at that and it's like, okay, well, if they get acquired by Sony, we're no longer going to be able to use that studio to support Halo, to help with all of our other franchises that they have. Maybe they're supposed to be working on another big game for
Monster
them as
Hunter
well.
type
The
game.
Monster Hunter type
Yeah,
game.
they
Right?
got Project Lore, or whatever it's called. They got the extraction shooter NFT game they're working on. They got the Halo project they're working on, and they got their own game that they're working on.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff, right? So I think it's necessity wise and looking at what's out there, it would be kind of bad for Microsoft if Certain Affinity got acquired. Now, to the chat's also pointing out, Alvin pointed out Iron Galaxy. I think that makes a lot of sense. You've been waiting for the opportunity to have the developer come back and restore Killer Instinct, right? You also, with Activision Blizzard, are buying MLG. Okay? And now Evo's a thing, but you have your stage. You could potentially have your own thing going with Killer Instinct and do MLG and include other Xbox franchises within that stuff. You bring in Iron Galaxy, you prop Killer Instinct back up. They have a great history with the franchise, and they continue support working on that game for the future. And you're not worried about what's going to happen to them because they're secure within Microsoft at that point. So those are the first moves. And then while those 3 studios, I would say, you're securing those, you go and you make the move after that for the big publisher in the East, right? Because I think there's multiple options there. Sony, I feel like if Sony was actually going to buy Square Enix, they would have already.
Yeah.
I feel like they were in a better position before to acquire them than today, right? So maybe they've been trying to sabotage Square Enix with their deals and all that stuff. I don't know, some of the speculation out there or whatever, but why didn't they do this while Microsoft was tied up, when they wouldn't be able to have Microsoft do a bid competition against Square Enix? Now, if Square Enix goes up for sale to either PlayStation or whatever, their job at the board is to their job is to go and shop other offers as well. They have to, right? So if they go and shop other offers, you could be potentially in a bidding war with Microsoft, right? So I feel like Sony just hasn't done the deal, and Square's been kind of like up and down and in trouble. So I feel like you could potentially wait a little longer on Square if you had to, but or Sega doesn't necessarily need to sell. That's kind of the deterrent there a little bit. It's going to be, you got to make them an offer they can't refuse. You know what I mean? Like Square's a little bit more susceptible right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know which
when does the first one happen? 3-bit?
What?
The first
what do you mean,
acquisition now going forward. When is the first news drop of the next acquisition?
I think they'll wait. Like, first off, I'm really excited about the Game Awards. You guys remember the last one where Phil was just like all depressed?
Yeah, this time he's gonna be like,
yeah, he's gonna be yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I think what they'll have is they'll probably have a round table, kind of like Activision Blizzard, and explain the plans. Like, first they have to talk internally. Phil, I think he mentioned that email that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna kind of talk about what their plans are, and Phil's probably gonna drop by and be like, all the Blizzard survival game, remember that? No more PlayStation. He's probably gonna do something like that. I don't know. It is gonna be interesting because things that might not be on PlayStation can still possibly be on PlayStation, depending on what Ubisoft does with the cloud. That's going to be interesting conversation for the future. But I think what's going to happen in terms of next steps are roundtable conversation. January, February, they go back into shopping mode and go straight for the studios you're talking about. They still have to process $70 billion, right? That's all like in cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that takes a long time to process $70 billion. So I'm guessing like January, February, they'll start looking at other studios. Like
they're paying for it in dimes and nickels. So, you know, it's gonna
take some time.
Yeah.
for sure.
They got to go to the fucking bank and just put it in the coin machine. Hold on, we got to process $70 billion in pennies.
I got another tube I'm gonna send up. I'm gonna be here for
I was
weeks.
like, oh man,
Yeah.
you forgot $5. Yeah, so they gotta do all that stuff. Once the money fully goes through, I guess technically they could start shopping now. I'm just wondering if they want to just still have their focus on ABK, because I remember when this whole ABK thing was first announced, we were speculating like, oh, they could still go out and buy stuff, but they were so wrapped up in regulator nonsense that was their focus for the year. That with the ABK process.
It depends on how smooth the transition like off the start is. Like if it's kind of a rough transition off the rip, they may like slow down on acquisitions, but if it's like pretty smooth, they'll probably just maintain what they've been doing.
Yeah, if the process from them buying them, like the $70 billion goes through quickly, all that, I'm expecting maybe by March at the latest they'll start shopping again. And it's so much easier to get a private studio in terms of getting that through. You don't really have to deal with stocks and shareholders and things like that. You're dealing with maybe if there is a board, you're like, hey, I want to buy you. They're like, okay. They don't have to let the public know if it's a private studio. If you looked in the past, Microsoft has been notorious for buying private studios. So if you are going to look at what they're going to buy, I would look at if they're private. If they're not private, what is their relationship with that specific company? I think their relationship with Crystal Dynamics and stuff and Eidos, basically seeing, have they worked with each other before? What are they essentially working on? I think that those are good ways to look at who they will acquire next. It's going to be interesting. I think there's only a few more little holes that Microsoft has to fill. They have 40, what was it, 44 studios now?
Looking back to 2016 to today, it's 7 years. Absolutely in fucking sane what has happened.
They do not
with Xbox,
have,
bro.
There's not a lot they need left, in my opinion. I think the Japanese devs, I feel like they could definitely tap into that market. Phil has talked about getting a Japanese studio even before ABK.
So
he's talked about how important that was.
What if instead of getting a publisher from that side, they target individual Japanese studios that are like Kojima Studios, right? Or like From Software, stuff like that. And then maybe place them under ZeniMax Bethesda, because they already have a Japanese studio, so they're kind of used to working back and forth that regard. And if you had multiple Japanese studios kind of tied under the same publishing branch, maybe that would make some sense as well. And you don't necessarily have to acquire a whole publisher side. And we don't know what Kojima's next game is supposed to be cloud-based, right? So I'm assuming it's going to be playable on mobile and all that kind of stuff as well. So that might help with the mobile side.
Yeah, for sure. We do know the reason why they bought ABK was the King. And basically, if they were saying, if we want to expand, if we want to beat Sony one day or reach that, what was it? I forgot how many gamers he said he wants to reach, like billion something gamers out there, then they have to focus in other markets that is not just the console market. Console market it's fixed. We know the numbers that you can get within the console market. But what is not necessarily fixed and what's constantly growing is mobile, is PC. So I feel like they don't have a lot of holes to fix. I feel like they maybe get some more mobile developers, make sure, like what you were saying, Mav, those developers that they're already working with, but we don't necessarily want Sony to get, so that this sort of come under my umbrella. And once you get the mobile, you get those, then you just focus on Japanese developers. I don't know who else they would need necessarily.
Right.
That's a lot of studios already. It's 40. It's already in the 40s. goodness, it's
From
the potential.
6 to 43, you said, Pong? 43, 44, something like that.
44. Yeah, that's the number I saw.
44.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I saw that number being thrown around.
So goodness
Just
gracious.
over the next 7 years, we're just going to acquire the development power of 38 studios, roughly around there. You know, we'll be good.
But don't worry, we're closing down in 2027.
Yeah.
We're just doing it for a short period.
Well, because we want to bring them all down with us.
Yeah.
Somebody actually left a comment like that, like they're buying them to bring them all down. Like that's just so weird.
The narratives have been crazy today. I think the main thing a lot of Sony fans have been saying is what's the narrative that they're basically saying, like, oh, now Call of Duty is going to deteriorate in quality. They can't handle.
Do they give an actual reason why? Because all of a sudden there's
because
people have been saying that for 15 years.
But they go towards other games like, oh, look, Forza wasn't that successful, or Starfield, or different stuff like that. It's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
it's the new narrative. Like every single time Microsoft makes like a big move, you see a different narrative from the other side. But don't have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
To that side of fans. I'm overall happy with this deal. In conclusion, I think we've been talking about it for like a long time, and where it benefits me is Game Pass. I think there's a lot of games I've been looking forward to, but not just Game Pass. That I hear that answer a little bit. I'm excited for the franchises that's been dormant because ABK necessarily, whether they didn't have the funds or the resources to do it, they have to funnel everything into Call of Duty. But with Microsoft, there's more potential for ABK to kind of go back to some of their older franchises or do something that isn't Call of Duty. That freaking StarCraft.
I've been saying that since day one. With that many, you have 16,000 people, you split up each studio in half. You have fucking 20 studios. Now you have fucking 40 teams working on different games.
Yeah.
The potential that they have once they like get everything under control is like insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
I've been saying that since day one.
When people are saying like, why are you excited about the consolidation of it? I am excited about the potential for some of these studios to be there at their full potential. A lot of the employees are very happy. They're happy because they are under a different leadership that isn't Bobby Kotick. That's the one thing, right? You have Bobby Kotick who's probably going to be there till the end of the year, but I don't think he'll be there very much longer. You get the potential of unions with different I think it was Raven or something where that's going to be unionized. There's a lot of positive.
CWA already put out that they're walking in there and they're going to introduce the unions to all the employees at Activision Blizzard, because Microsoft.
These are the things that people don't talk about.
Blizzard was one of the ones that had already started doing it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, they're kind of the thread of this whole thing, right?
Some of the QA teams had started.
Right.
That's
so when people say like this is going to bring, like, Xbox is going to ruin it, like there's already positive implications without them even acquiring them yet. Like they haven't even, I mean, technically yes today, but you think about all the positives that come with this deal. Like, to me, like before Microsoft acquired them, they weren't in a very good position as a company to do anything outside of Call of Duty, really. So yeah.
James Thomas. Yeah, thanks, 3-Bit. James Thomas hit us with a $2. Said Sega Japan posted on Twitter about Phil at Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah. There's a nice picture of him and Sarah.
Yeah.
Big smiles.
And
Sega.
Square was also there presenting at the Tokyo Game Show presentation with Xbox as well, talking Final Fantasy and stuff. There's lots of possibilities. It's absolutely crazy to think. But
guys.
Yo.
I'm gonna slide out real quick.
Right,
appreciate you guys having me on. I'm gonna go get some gaming in with my bro while he got some time. So
absolutely.
All right, y'all. Pong, I will see you in the morning.
Oh,
gentlemen, it was fantastic to get some time in with you again. Y'all been going strong. We've been going strong for a bit here, so can't wait to hear some more. Can't wait to hear some more. But all right, y'all. Much love. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one, bro.
Later, Steve.
Absolutely.
Someone.
Chris Jones, $2 super chat, says, as a union rep myself, this makes me super happy. Yeah. man, it's gonna make a lot of those employees happier. I think. We read the email to the ABK employees earlier, and there is a unique. It's not all bad at Activision Blizzard, right? They have some creative, like abilities that are permeated throughout the company that turn them into what they are. You know what I mean? So like they have the ability to make amazing games. One of the studios there that they have is actually just based solely on like video and like creating like cinematics and stuff like that. And they're going to be able to potentially Microsoft can utilize that for a lot of their other
I think that
studios and stuff.
was going to be the studio that they were going to use to make the Call of Duty movie. They got canceled,
right?
And then they just
they did probably Diablo 4 cinematics and stuff like that. Like I mean, insane
Beautiful
stuff like that they're capable of. I saw somebody in the chat post this, and I don't know if it actually was said. Shout out to R.L. Stein, by the way. Goosebumps was amazing when I was a kid. Loved it. But he said that Colin Moriarty had said that he thinks Microsoft should buy Embracer Group. Is that something he actually said? Because it doesn't sound like.
Oh yeah, I saw that comment earlier.
It doesn't sound like something Colin would say. Does anybody corroborate this?
If he said it, maybe he was hoping it'd be like a reverse jinx or something.
Yeah, interesting. I people want to talk about monopolies and stuff like that. Like Embrace Group has how many employees do they have now? I mean, I'm not saying that
they're losing daily.
Yeah, I'm not saying buy them would make them a monopoly at all. It wouldn't, right? Not even close. But maybe it would. Is Embracer Group going to crumble if somebody doesn't save the entire company, or is acquiring certain amounts of them and influxing them in cash going to be enough?
I think the second part will be enough. Like I'm thinking between now and the video game awards, not only do we get to see like the developer direct date for Hellblade 2 when they show like a combat trailer, I think we get to see Perfect Dark and announce that Crystal Dynamics is part of the family. So I do think they picked them up before the end of the year. Certain Affinity certainly makes sense. Eidos Montreal also makes sense.
I could see that, but also I could see them maybe pivoting a bit since they got their console and roadmap leaked. Like maybe they show off the new console.
That too.
Oh, I forgot.
I mean, they could show the console and 3 trailers.
Yeah. Because I think with it being leaked, they probably want to get the marketing out there for that, like, right? So people won't, like, just constantly shit on it and speculate on it. I don't know. That's just...
Yeah.
Let's see here. Tanya Morris, $5. First super chat ever. Thank you for sharing us the first super chat you've given, Tanya Morris. It says WB Games. I was with C Money and Doodle on their show earlier, and I said this as well, and as other people were talking about it, like as a want, right? That's would be my number one want. I feel like
how many conversations do we have?
Oh my god, so many. Like
they were close one time.
They were on the list, not for the whole, not for the whole kit and caboodle like we were talking about. They only were going to pick up the studios, but yeah.
But to be fair though, like they're in a different place than they were at that time now, but they're also struggling as well. Like there's been a lot of talk that they might sell to Universal, right? And it's funny, Pong, also we had the conversation about, Sony and putting the movies into their PS Plus stuff and all that kind of stuff, and wondering if Game Pass was ever going to do, Xbox was going to do that and try and bring some other options in there as well. But like, in another financial rumor that was going on around last year was the next acquisition from Microsoft was going to be Netflix as well. Right. That was spreading around. That wasn't from gamers. That was from other people, right? But honestly, investors. If you look at it from gaming perspective, it honestly kind of makes some sense too, because Netflix has the whole streaming thing and the cloud stuff. If you're able to put all of Xbox's franchises and stuff within Netflix a subscriber base, you're
also strong for mobile too.
Yeah, you instantly have like 100+ million users, like just like that, So it's pretty crazy to think about what that could mean. But at the end of the day, WB Discovery is a hell of a lot cooler and more fun, and they got Batman.
If they bought the IP.
Yeah, but I think you would have to buy all of WB Discovery. I don't think you.
That's what I said.
Yeah. So
yeah,
the IP would come along with it for this time.
but internally they were saying no, right? That was the internal docs, was they were saying, because Phil's email was WB, but we wouldn't own the IP.
Right. But that was back when they were still AT&T, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
So,
now for sure you would have to buy the whole thing. I don't think they would piecemeal that off anymore.
Yeah. They're maybe vulnerable as well because Max has been losing more subscriptions than any other streaming service. Their movies haven't been hitting. They had to delay Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League as well. So the gaming
they've
side,
also made comments. Discovery's made comments saying they're doubling down on gaming too. So
because that's what's been making them the most money with all the other failures that they've had. And within that though, are they? A lot of the games they've released have already been in development a long time before they had acquired, before they formed their own company or whatever with the merger. But are they going to be able to stomach this huge AAA cost and development and waiting for the return on investment for 6 years, 5 years now on a lot of these games? Because they're not necessarily in the best cash flow situation as a company as well. So yeah, it sounds good now because they're reaping the rewards of the stuff that was backed by AT&T before with WB that just came out, but starting new games and all these kind of things that are going to take longer. Are they going to be able to look forward to the future and say, wow, games actually take a lot longer and are harder to make than movies are? And we, are they going to come to some kind of realization there and not necessarily, because I think the board's seeing the benefit right now, but they don't see the long-term effects of this stuff yet.
We can just go make another Ghost TV show.
Yeah.
Where's the Wonder Woman game? That's what I want to know.
Yep. I'm waiting on that one too, Fuzz.
Yeah. I want to see that Nemesis engine for another game. That's such a cool concept. I wish more games had it. They just had to patent that, didn't they?
Yep. They sure did. Alvin with the $5. Appreciate you, Alvin. Says Twitter today. The end of Hidalgo if Frank Hopkins released the herd onto the salt flats. Great movie, by the way. #FunPop. I don't know if I've seen Hidalgo. That's with Viggo Mortensen, right?
Yes.
As a horse.
Yes.
I don't remember. I think I've seen it, but I don't remember it. Jay Rimbert with the $2 super chat says next year's Xbox showcase is gonna be insane.
Bro.
Oh my god.
What got a whole
E3 showcase is next year's showcase is E3 by itself.
It is.
How are they going to
don't need anyone.
A week-long showcase?
Yeah, that's what I said they should do. Well, not a week, but 3 day showcase each day for one for Xbox Game Studios, one for Bethesda, ZeniMax, and then the other one for
Activision still is only going to have one game coming out next year, Call of Duty. So
maybe we don't know that, Jasper. They got other stuff in the works, man. We don't know that survival game. The survival game could definitely be around. For sure, they could have more World of Warcraft expansions.
I'm sure we'll get all the DLC update stuff there.
But. Yeah. I'm just saying you could technically you could potentially do it that way, where you have 2 to 3 days of just Xbox, Activision, Blizzard, and ZeniMax. I mean, you literally could. It's crazy.
I was thinking 4 studios a day.
Yeah.
Here's their projects.
They had a Call of Duty showcase. I mean, a week ago, two weeks ago. So.
Yeah, it's the multiplayer reveal.
The multiplayer reveal. That's gonna be the hard. That's gonna be about the hardest thing is now the roadmap gets more complex, right? And how they're gonna line all this stuff up. And we talked about that. Eventually, you get so much that the kind of roadmap kind of goes out the window. And that's why when we said, the one per quarter thing, eventually, we're gonna be talking about 8 games a year from first party. I mean, that's where they're going to be at finally at some point. So it's insane, man. It's insane.
Crazy.
Boomer Benz, I will go to Bob on this one. It says, I don't know how Microsoft will see return on investment on $69 billion. Maybe it's a write down for multiple years and just a play for mindshare. I mean, they honestly got a steal on Activision Blizzard.
They believe it's undervalued.
They believe it's undervalued. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't have purchased it if they didn't think it was undervalued at that point.
Yeah.
You got to remember, it was
Isn't-
a cash. It was a cash thing too. It was a
Yeah.
cash purchase, right? So
Yeah.
there's really nothing to write down. Like it was straight up out of their cash,
Yeah.
their slush fund, basically, is what they used on it. And for overall, with the way that inflation is working and has been, that was an investment that actually saved them money at the end of the day, short term, because they would have been losing.
Got to spend that
value.
money.
Yeah, they would have been losing value on that cash if they just kept it in the bank.
Yeah. And I mean, they got the recurring revenue constantly from all the
Yes.
King mobile.
Also,
games and
Activision
stuff,
makes
like,
what, a couple $1 billion every year. So you
Mhm.
just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and profit, right? So it's
Yeah.
like,
And whatever they got from Ubisoft for selling the cloud rights. So-
yeah, that's cash.
thanks,
Sure.
Bob. That was thanks, Bob.
Yeah, I know, Matt. Purposely with the Bob we took over.
No, it's
Sorry,
all good.
Bob. Sorry.
I think
Bob.
the only thing I'd add to it though is that you can't just look at like a purchase like that at face value and be like, okay, where do you get the $69 billion from? It's like they got so much when it comes, like, not just the studios, not just like the manpower and the talent and the IP, like, or a company that's already proven to be profitable and like be able to pay out its CEO hundreds of millions of dollars in bonuses. Like it's over time. It's an investment. Like the assets are there. It is worth at least that much no matter what. And it's a machine that they're going to use to bring more revenue and profit, as well as be able to service their gamers better. They're going to be able to build out their existing services better. It will be integrated in the overall business that is Xbox. Like it's going to add billions of dollars in revenue each year, while also just bringing all that other value and resources together. So if you're just like, hey, show me the $69 billion, it's like, okay, well, it will earn that much over the next like 30 years. But at the same time, it's already worth that much, if not much more than that.
Right. It's like you buy a house, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, you know what I mean? Like it'll.
If I had a house that made me $2 billion every year, I'd be so
well,
happy.
If it maintains its value, you know what I mean, then it's all that matters, right? So
Also, you have to
money.
think with Activision, Bethesda game or Blizzard games, they're the games that every company wants. Games as a service. They have the biggest ones. They have Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, World of Warcraft. They're all games as a service. That's what every game studio wants, is a games as a service that prints money.
And the
they
mobile
have it.
and the mobile games.
Yeah.
Like I mean, they have grandmas sitting there doing candy puzzles all day, every fucking day, just like, oh, I'm gonna get $1 to bypass this level or whatever. Or like,
Yeah, if you got grandma on board, dude.
Do you know how much money Candy Crush probably gets from the advertising for people that watch the free ads to be able to get lives? You know what I mean? Like how much money that Candy Crush probably brings in just from advertising dollars? Like it's insane.
I go to my local theater, and that's one of the ads that plays before the fucking movies is a Candy Crush ad.
Yep. Candy Crush is a fucking, and that's not
Dude.
their only big game. That's just the one that's the most known, right? They have a lot of big games. A King does, and they're just insane. Like how, and it's not the core gamer. It's not like the hardcore gamers like us. It's like my mom, right, who lives in an assisted living facility, and she plays Candy Crush every day, right? Like people like that. That there's lots of people that play Candy Crush. Some people don't even consider themselves gamers or whatever. Like it's on a different mass, broad appeal and scale than traditional games. And like there's all these different stuff that they're going to be able to target to different people, and they already have all these people playing this stuff, and it's just automatically there. The base is there, like, and it's pretty crazy. Like the interesting thing that I've seen, going on since last night, and I saw clips yesterday too during the day and stuff, was the constant like trying to downplay and create narratives about like we're talking about the quality, like, oh, they're gonna make Call of Duty mid, or they're gonna make Call of Duty. The thing with Xbox is you have to understand that that group that's saying those things have always been saying those things about every Xbox game that comes out, no matter how successful it is, no matter how it scores, no matter how many people play it. They always consider them to be failures or below.
I mean, the
par.
Call of Duty community does that themselves before Xbox was even in the fucking picture. Call of Duty
difference
doing
Now
that.
though
it's going
is
to amplify.
Yeah.
now they're going to blame it on Xbox. They're going to blame anything on Microsoft and stuff. So at the end of the day, you just have to understand that stuff's going to happen. Literally, there was like that Reforged guy or whatever calling like Starfield and Forza Motorsport failures, right? Why? Because they
didn't sell enough coffee.
Because because he deems so. Like, what's the metric there? Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
because it's got a 58% approval on Xbox's app. That's why.
oh, well, okay, yeah, sure. Like, we can really read into that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, dumb,
Yeah,
man.
the fucking Xbox.
He literally
reviews,
posted
it's
that on X. He did.
yeah.
People were coming after me for saying that Forza
That's like
was
using
mid.
an exclusives user score on Meta against it, like, where it just gets completely like bombarded with.
You go through like the Xbox reviews. It's like my kid took a shit when I was playing this game, so this game sucks.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
The metrics that people try to use to downplay a lot of Xbox games over time has been interesting.
Yeah.
It's definitely been interesting. Like it's I've been seeing that too, Mav. I've seen a couple of different Sony based creators over time where they would just say everything Xbox releases is mid. It doesn't really matter, but it just comes from a place where that's not where they prefer to play. And so no matter how good
Or it's
a
not
game
the
is,
kind of conversation that gets them the most clicks on their channel.
that, yeah, if we're talking
Big
about
facts.
this Reforged, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I was a believer in Game Pass. I was a believer in Xbox, yet they keep coming out with things like Starfield, Forza Motorsport, the failures that they are. What fucking games has PlayStation released this entire fucking year, dude? Look at it. Really, there's been releases, so many. Just because you don't like them or you think that saying
They're
you
releasing
don't
a
like
slim
them
console
is
this year,
better
bro.
for your channel. Get a grip. Stop lying through your damn teeth.
I mean, if
saying
you
something
look,
is a failure does not make it a failure. There's literally the other aspect of this. Guess what games people are going to be playing for years and years and years? Forza Motorsport and Starfield, right? The two games that are a failure because they didn't get a 90 on Meta. How many different PlayStation games have gotten 90s on Meta this entire generation? Right?
Not this
Really
generation.
look
None
at the
this
facts,
generation.
right? So, like, why the fuck is this a conversation about Xbox? And it's going to be in the future with every fucking ABK game that comes out, because they're going to blame whatever on Xbox if it doesn't get a 90. When you have somebody out there reviewing who admittedly hates Xbox, who has said that they're giving the game a bad score because they believe that Blizzard hates, or not Blizzard, but Bethesda hates trans people or something like that. Like, you have these things that are weighted into these scores and stuff, yet somehow it scores like an 86 on OpenCritic instead of an 87, which is all of a sudden considered a failure. Like, I don't understand.
It just keeps moving. You never will be able to understand it.
If it's not a 90, it's trash.
It's pure 100% just hate for Microsoft and Xbox. 100%.
Or the fact that, or it's just spreading misinformation for the sake of personal gain. Right.
It's an act. Correct. Yeah. That's why I call them actors or clowns, right? That's what they are. That's what they do. That's what they build their platforms on. So the narrative will constantly change to fit whatever they need it to be at that moment. That's all it is at this point. And again, some of them truly do not understand. And I do believe that there is a portion of them who are being legitimate. They only enjoy Sony type games. That's fine. If that's who you are as a gamer, that's fine. But this belief that everybody enjoys the same games or finds value the same way that you do, or whatever the case may be, that's where you go way sideways. Like, again, that's not how any of this works. There are people that enjoy Pepsi over Coke, right? That's just the real honest truth, is that everybody is going to have a different experience with games, and they're going to find value. They're going to find love. They're going to find enjoyment out of different aspects. And it's not just because, oh, it's Sony first party or it's Xbox first party. We're all going to see different things when we play a game that, again, some of these people just truly believe they're the only ones who know what a premium gaming experience is. And again, that premium is the same thing that Apple developed with their consumers, Sony has developed in their consumers. Pure and simple. So they will
You got to
constantly
pay
move
extra
things.
for that.
Yep,
Plus
exactly.
PlayStation Plus.
Some people like paying to get fucked, and
Bro, there was a show tonight
faction.
where they legitimately came out, and the majority of the panel, being Sony PlayStation guys, legitimately said they would all gladly pay $100 or more for a video game. I mean,
Why? Why? I enjoy video games, but like, why would I want to pay more if I don't have to? Like,
Because it feels
because
better.
they believe that's the only way in their narrative, Fuzzy. They believe that's the only way that we're going to continue to get AAA experiences. They believe that.
I don't think it's that. I think it's more so the fact that it's like they can come off as seem like an elite or above you.
Correct.
Like when people like buy
It's
fancy
premium.
fucking clothes or whatever, it's like,
It's
look,
premium.
I'm better than you. Like shit like that.
Rent pass.
Yeah.
I think
And
the
Sappho,
overwhelm-
yes, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. That is the other part of it. They hate Xbox. They hate Microsoft.
I think it's an assumption from them because Game Pass is such a good value. They assume the games have to be shit in it for them to give us the games that we're getting. But the truth is, we're actually getting more variety, more games, and also high quality games. And
A lot of them know what games are in there. They know.
Yeah,
that's true. Psycho, you're quiet, man. What are you doing?
He said be right back.
Yeah, is he even back? You know what that means, Mav.
Yeah. he said it twice.
He does this on
that-
Xbox Live. Jesus.
I feel like there's a lot of things on PlayStation. So I'm gonna eventually have this conversation with Steel because I think it'll be really funny. Because we've been talking about factions on and off for a long time. Is the one thing I've really been looking forward to.
Well, look forward to gummy bears.
Well, with factions, I mean, there's been so many news coming out of PlayStation that, like, what is the good news? We've had PlayStation Portal not having Bluetooth, and it's like $200. There's no roadmap. The PlayStation Plus price increase. Then you have the new console that is held up by a paper clip. Then you have layoffs at Naughty Dog and Bungie. You've had Jim Ryan leaving, abandoning, the company. You've had lack of new IPs, lack of first party in PSVR that they propped up. We're like, oh, is this new thing with PlayStation VR? Like
the hack
that's happened. It's just so much. They're heavy focus on games as a service, even though like they're the core of PlayStation's audience is like, oh, we like that third person single player games. Like there's just so much going on at PlayStation. I don't really know what the vision is for that company in the next 5 to 10 years.
Keep printing money.
It just seems like that premium experience.
Do you want a new console?
I mean, no, I'm just talking
We'll
about
get you a
like
new console every year,
Sony.
How about a remaster remix?
but that's the point. You
just keep remaking. Yeah.
You bring up a valid point, 3-bit. You bring up a valid point because the can't stand the fact that we're even talking about that side, but it doesn't matter. The point being is when these guys talk about this stuff, you're absolutely correct, because what they're talking about is Sony becoming Nintendo, which again, I have said from the beginning, worst case scenario for Sony, that's what they do. They carve out their niche and they make games. But the company that they all champion for are not even believing in what their vision is, right? The company that they're champion sees the vision differently than their core players do, because Sony is saying to everybody, we heard it directly from quotes from this whole case, from the ABK deal, that what Jim Ryan and what Sony Corp see, well, we'll find out if Sony Corp believes it, but whatever, for right now, we'll say that's their vision as well. Yeah. They want to expand beyond the console. That means that all of these AAA games, that all these guys and gals out here on the Sony side that are Sony only people champion nonstop that, oh, we buy all of our games over here. They're telling you that's not sustainable directly from Sony's mouth, PlayStation is telling you that you guys are not buying, you guys all buying those games at 10 million, 15 million, 20 million is not enough to continue to make those
sell
games
as much as the Nintendo games.
Correct. They don't make the amount of money they need to from your core audience,
and they don't
to
make as
continue
much
to
profit
produce
on the hardware
Correct.
as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the problem, right? But this is the stuff when these talking points, these narratives come up that they never actually admit to, that Sony themselves is telling you that we can't continue to do what you all love without having games as a service, without having multiplayer games, without having engagement, which means breaking out into different genres that you guys aren't going to like and probably aren't going to support. But in order to keep making the games you all love, we're going to have to go do all this other stuff that Microsoft is already doing. That's why they're chasing. That's why they're chasing Xbox.
And they
that's
said
why
they use
I'm
Call
a-
of Duty as their
Yes.
funnel for
And that's why
those
I'm
games.
excited for PlayStation's
Right.
future, is because it's
Correct.
not third-person action adventure games.
It's been disrupted.
The issue is the transition period though is going to be really rough, and can they, like, is it going to be something where they went too far behind the scenes in this one direction, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
they kind of screwed
Yes.
up this transition period, right?
I mean,
Yes.
we're seeing it. It's going to keep remaking and remastering for the short term, and then we'll see what they end up doing for the.
Yeah, I mean,
For the long.
2024, right? First party wise,
Yeah.
The pipeline of games that we know of for PlayStation is what?
Helldivers, MLB 24, Last of Us Factions remake, or Last of Us Part 2 remake, whatever the fuck they're going to call it.
Not factions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
not
I say that. Fair Games and Concord. So it's 5 games
Right.
with probably
Wolverine.
delays.
Wolverine.
Wolverine's probably 26, 27.
Wolverine ain't next year.
Yeah, I'm thinking 25 on that.
25 on
Yeah.
Wolverine, man.
So if they have 5 games and then that's good,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
There's
Correct.
there's nothing wrong with it. Plus, they also have
If
And
Bungie
that's
doesn't snipe
that's
them
not
first.
VR stuff either. That's actual
Right.
AAA games.
I just, because they haven't really shown a lot of this stuff for me right now, I don't trust that a lot of it's actually hitting in 2024.
I mean, they
Like-
kept showing concept art for factions. I'm like, why don't you guys show
Like
factions? Is a whole. We need a whole episode dedicated to factions.
the Last of Us Part 2 remaster isn't exciting anybody right now, but they're gonna
And
sell
they
it
also
probably.
have, like, this is DLC, so it's kind of an iffy count, but it's Destiny's final DLC. That's going to be really big for them next year. So
The thing is about that roadmap, even though you say that's 5 games, there's none that are like really exciting.
And not all of them are guaranteed. Like Fair
Yeah.
Game, even though they showed
Yeah, I
it,
would
the
say
reception that they
they're
got,
probably gonna
I'm
delay it.
surprised we didn't hear that gets canceled. And the
Are
same
we
thing with
too-
the Concord. It's like, I think
Like-
Concord is further away because all we saw was a jiggly burger. Like
Right.
we haven't even gotten to gameplay.
Are they
stage.
too late to the party, Fuzzy? That's the whole thing. How many of those are going to hit? That's the questions we've been asking since the beginning. Jim himself admitted that he knows that out of those 12 games, and they've already canceled 3 or 4, that only 1 or 2 are going to be the moneymakers that they hoped it would be, right? And that's,
Yeah.
I think, being generous, right? The landscape is changing quickly. They don't have the experience they needed. That's why they went and got Bungie. That's the whole thing. These plans were put in place too. I see, we've heard all the talk about Call of Duty being kind of the tipping point for them. They're still going to make a lot of
yeah,
money
they're
off
still
Call of
making the
Duty.
30%.
Yeah, they're going to make
Yeah.
a lot of money off Call of Duty no matter what. These plans were put in place long ago because even the Call of Duty money still wasn't enough to continuously have their first party put out AAA single player narrative driven games that cost between 100, 250 million plus. And that's only going up. And time frame wise, that's the other thing that nobody puts into play. It's taking longer to make these games. Sony
Yeah.
can no longer put out the PlayStation 4 era, and especially like the 360 PS3 era, where we could get a whole trilogy in one generation. That is long gone.
Gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
unless
lucky
you're
to
making
get
all
one
of
game.
those, the trilogy
Yes.
once, and then
And
we
once
got
splitting
3
them up.
Spider-Man games in
Right.
5 years.
You're lucky to get one game per big AAA studio per generation now. That's
Yeah.
pretty much where we're at. that all has been factored into what Sony was preparing for to try to offset those costs and the time involved. So even the Call of Duty, even the ABK deal wasn't the tipping point. They knew this was coming. They knew they were going to have to change things, and
that's why they were fighting it, because they wanted to delay it to give them as much time as possible.
Correct, which is something we talked about plenty of times, Jasper. Exactly.
Yeah, and which is why, like, with Xbox owning 40 something studios before, when they had like 5, when they had like Halo, Gears, Forza, they essentially, Xbox relied on those 4 or 5 studios to keep delivering those games. Now with 44 something studios, they could be like, give these studios more leeway to be who they are, and he's like, oh yeah, you don't want to release this month.
That's also why a game cancellation hurts so bad, or when one studio shut down, like Lionhead, it hurts so bad, because it was like, we're down. Like, remember Scalebound, and then what happened with Lionhead, all within like a year or so of each other. It was like, what the hell?
Crackdown in development hell.
Yeah, like and what's going on at Xbox?
It's such a different situation now. Like, the resurgence from 2016 to today, from the development prowess that they have, with the pipeline that they have, first party wise, I mean, you want to talk about game releases and quality and stuff like that. Like, I see more Nintendo likeness from Xbox now than I do PlayStation. Like, how many different Nintendo first party games dropped this year? More than any other publisher, right? And but the difference is Xbox, you see that in Game Pass, right? So like, the other thing is less pressure. Now, they screwed up with Redfall, but with these pipeline of games, there's less pressure for delays. Like, if you have to delay a game and all this kind of stuff, we've already seen with Starfield, they're willing to give them like a whole extra year when it was already pretty damn polished.
And if one doesn't hit, your company doesn't fall under.
Yeah. That's why, like, I think Redfall being the first one out of the big new pipeline of games was like the blunder that was like, if it had fit like later on or something, like after they had already got their traction after 2022's the whole thing, I felt like it would have hit differently with that. But like, they also admitted they screwed up, that they they needed more time and all this kind of stuff. And
they should have been in contact with the studio instead of just.
But to be fair, now they did update it, and me and Pong played it this past weekend, and we had a great time. You know,
we did.
We played like 3 or 4 hours or so, and it actually had a great time. Like, the game was running great, and only thing I would say is I still would like more enemies. Right.
Absolutely. There's got to be more encounters. There's got to be more action.
More enemies, more action and stuff. But like, other than that, like, the looting was great. I liked the environment, the mood that the game had, searching for stuff, all that kind of stuff was really fun. I love the guns too. The guns were actually really good.
I gotta give it another shot.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but to your point, Mav, I think, like, yes, owning that many studios is like the vision for Game Pass, to keep funneling in content. You only can do that if you have a lot of studios and have those studios make different genres of games. I think Sony for a while has been relying on making those third person huge AAA action adventure games. Now, they do have other games for sure, but
turns out they're making RPGs all along.
What do you mean?
It's a Spider-Man's RPG.
But like, owning this many studios, it just gives Microsoft like a roadmap that they could look at and be like, hey, we don't have to rush in Indiana Jones right now. We could, put extra development time, maybe an extra year or two. And because Hellblade is coming, they could structure in for 44 studios what game they would want to release within that year. I think Sony's in a different spot where they are playing catch up a little bit, or they have to play catch up.
I don't even think it's necessarily catch up. I think they're just divided because they have their teams working on VR stuff, so they have to support that device, and then they have to support PC, and they don't have enough PC teams to port all their games quickly enough. So they're just like too divided right now. They're not focused enough, and that's, I think, what's going to hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, they have the team that's supposed to do VR. They are trying to make more games as a service games to basically offset the fact that they might not have releases for like a God of War every single year. So at least the games as a service games will funnel in money so that they can keep making that. So it's like, it's to me that's a little bit of just playing catch up a little bit, just trying to figure out what they are what they're gonna have to do. They don't have Call of Duty. They can't really use the marketing rights for that maybe past a year or so. So I don't know. Psycho?
Psycho finally chimes in finally after forever
The
just a
yawn.
yawn.
Oh, sorry. I took it off mute. My bad.
Hey, you're back. What was the question, man?
Was there a
I'm
question?
sorry.
I don't
there
know.
wasn't
you-
a question.
You said something about like, I don't know.
The last question I think he asked was what was PlayStation's games for next year?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
MLB.
Yeah. But yeah, Psycho, I'm sure you sound tired first off, but like are you excited more obviously for the future than you were before, like overall, like with Xbox? I'm trying to get you to say something.
100%. No, no, because everybody's, having their say, and I just didn't really interrupt. So no, I'm very excited for what is coming out, because the future is very bright for Xbox, especially now with having ABK a part of the family, and seeing new IPs that what they can really do and bring to gamers everywhere, that without this acquisition could more than likely we could not see maybe whatever is coming down the pipeline from ABK, especially because I forget where I heard it, but I guess ABK King has more than quite a bit of mobile games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can definitely help Microsoft or Xbox with the mobile side of things, and bringing the casuals into what that could be. Gaming wise, they can
Halo
bring
Crush, Call of Duty Crush, Doom Crush,
more
Forza Crush.
and, like the Castles game that came out from Bethesda. I don't know if you guys played it yet.
Oh, the Elder Scrolls. It's like Fallout Shelter, but it's the Elder Scrolls version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though that's just one of those. That's a game that just no
Is
real
that out yet?
thought. Yeah, it's been out. Well, I don't know if I signed up for the early release or something, but I've been playing it, and it's just one of those games that no real thought needs to be put into. You just play and just kill some time type shit. When you got some downtime, you just do some little stuff here and there, but there's a lot that's coming out of ABK. There's a lot that's that could teach Microsoft to really grow their portfolio to the point where people are going to notice that, like, oh, okay, so now Xbox has Activision, so casuals that just play COD, Madden, and whatnot notices, oh, in Game Pass I get to play Madden even after 6 months or so, and then Call of Duty is going to be day one after the Modern Warfare 3. It's just it's really exciting, because now we get to see really the fruits of what Xbox has been, what Phil's kind of been driving at. And this, with at least with ABK, they get to have support studios to help them, kind of like maybe they won't get a Redfall again, because they have the support studios that give another studio any need, any help, or anything that
They have
it's
to be more hands-on to that point, Psycho. Like
No, that is 100%. And I think
Yeah.
that with management, maybe that's what Bobby kind of like fills them in on. This is what I had to do to keep this going, and you guys kind of need to follow suit with how hands-on you have to be. Some studios can be hands-off, and there's other
I think that was
studios
Activision's problems. They were too handsy.
well,
Yeah.
nah,
I always talk about how
the
there needs to
work
be a balance.
culture,
Only in the
culture
Cosby
that-
room.
yeah. But it's to the point where they have to kind of balance all with the studios that they're getting, balance what they have to, whatever their work culture they're going to implement with Xbox, because that was in his letter, their work culture, implement how much they need to be hands-on versus they could still have creative freedom, but then to the point where they can also sit there and be like, okay guys, this is where are we on this game? Okay, do you need any help? Hey, you know what, this studio's not doing anything right now. We're gonna talk to them and see if they can give you a hand on whatever you need, and then we could see games coming out more on a cadence that they need to be, so they can hit deadlines and they can hit the dates that they put out, and this way there's no need for crunch. But yet, because they do have an abundance of talent there at ABK that they could foresee, and they could actually bring this to a fruition that they could actually do that. So.
That'll forever be a challenge, I think, for Microsoft. In my opinion, I think that they're going to have to balance what they learned from the closing of Lionhead Studio.
I think that ship failed. What the lessons they could have learned from that, I think.
I mean, but what they learned from that was the fact that, like, oh, we have to let studios breathe. Yeah, they have basically what they learned, what Microsoft learned from that. If you guys see the Xbox documentary, Lionhead Studio closed down. They're like, oh, we have to not let people just make Connect games or force a studio to do a specific type of game. But I feel like what they've learned from that, yes, let studios be their own DNA, have their own DNA. Is the reason why you bought them in the first place. But at the same time, you need to be
Arcane was that, I think, lesson that they learned that with, is because with the failure of Redfall, where they were too hands off with it and they never went in to see what they were doing. Yeah. So they never asked for help either. So it's like, I think that's the important lesson that they've learned recently, is how to manage the studios more. And it was with that Arcane studio.
But they can't also not be too, like, let them do whatever they want, because they kind of need to put out games like a Call of Duty and whatever they decide to. But what they need to do is see who still wants to work on, say, Call of Duty, Warzone, and figure that out, and then really go from there, and then hire employees that want to do that, and the people that don't, create new studios, so organically grow within buying Activision. So acquiring Activision can organically grow new studios from it, and then this way they can sit there and build new IP that could be the next biggest thing. It could be the next big God of War, or next Halo, or the next Forza. We just don't know, because right now
Call of Duty racing game, that sounds fun.
They're kind of crutched into making Call of Duty. So I think that with this, there's a big learning curve, but I think from everything that they have gone through, I think they've figured out that, okay, this is what we've too hands off and within a newly acquired studio, even 2 years into being acquired. We need to kind of see where they are, see how they work, and then slowly like lay off of them, see if that works out, and then if it doesn't, then we know, okay, this studio, we can't be too hands off.
I think the first thing that happens is everything's going to stay status quo, and then you're going to have small teams within those, like Raven or Infinity Ward or Treyarch. You're going to have small, just little dev teams here that's like they can pitch projects, and they have smaller projects that will come out that way.
I mean, Obsidian
Everything
themselves would have never done Grounded if it wasn't for Microsoft, right?
I mean, that's how Nazi Zombies became a thing. Is there was a small team within Treyarch that made a mode, and it's like Activision gave them approval. There's a lot of stuff that's happened like that in Activision, but Activision's always shot it down because they needed to focus on Call of Duty still.
Yeah.
And Microsoft will let them actually breathe with that.
I mean, that's
design.
what Phil said early on.
Yeah.
Like one of the first things he said was, "I'm excited to see what the teams want to work on." Like, and that's going to be, I think, something that's going to happen. But I don't think it's just going to be like overnight. You have all these Activision Blizzard games, and now it's like it's going to be a process. You know what I mean? Like, they still have to finish up. They had, like, what was it? They already have a pipeline set till 2027 or something like that.
You got to maintain the Call of Duty machine.
Yeah,
you have to do that for a couple years.
And then I think what they do, hopefully they take, like, maybe they don't put the pressure to have a Call of Duty every year because you have Microsoft's backing now. You know what I mean? So
I think that will change first. Is we'll see a different cadence. Every other year would be a good start. This way, it lets that Call of Duty kind of grow to what it kind of needs to be. And
either that, or they just go in and completely change the Call of Duty model and make it games as a service that continues getting content added to it.
Do y'all think that they used assets that they had planned to be for next year's Call of Duty to cobble this Modern Warfare 3 together?
No, this is assets that was already made.
This is the DLC for Modern Warfare 2.
But so, like, what about the Treyarch making the zombies mode?
Well, Treyarch's using Modern Warfare assets to make a zombies mode within the engine. They're not.
And
everything that's in this game coming out, we've already seen. Like, it was data mined last year. The stuff, like, it's been in the game files, some of it already.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that with what they did, because they said that they were going to take a break, but I think to upend that marketing deal, I think they kind of just went like, all right, let's push this game out to kill the deal. But I've been playing the beta, and I've been having a great time with it. It depends on how the campaign is, and I'm just interested to try out the zombie mode, because in the open world is kind of different take on it. Because I watched a video with them playing zombie mode, and it's very interesting. And there is because how they have wall guns and like the little treasure box and thing, that's all still in there, and it's just you just kind of have to find it. And
it's like the outbreak mode from Cold War, but you're gonna have like 12 people or 16 people now. It's lost all the what Call of Duty Zombies was. It's lost all its magic. This mode is I can't stand it.
A lot of people are saying it's like DMZ.
No, a lot of the fucking people in the Call of Duty community are saying this zombies is going to be ass.
Yeah,
any zombies community member
all
is saying
their things. So I don't know what sweaties you're listening to.
I'm listening to the Call of Duty zombie community that's always been there that say this is going to be fucking dog shit.
They always say
but the entire Call of Duty community always says every year that everything's going to be dog shit.
No, they actually praised Cold War Zombies, the small maps, when it came out, because it went back to the origin of Call of Duty Zombies. They hated the outbreak mode because it lost all its magic. You had zombies popping up out of nowhere. There was no like real incentive to play it.
The Call of Duty community is like the hardcore Halo community, like just always shits on the game, like constantly, all the time, but at the same time, like just does it while playing it. You know what I mean? And it's like,
I hate this so much, but I got 125 hours.
And I think this Call of Duty has given that Call of Duty community a lot of what they've been asking for. Now, at the end of the day, do they actually like it or not? We'll find out.
They're liking the multiplayer changes. We'll have to see how that goes. But
you said the gameplay is kind of like haven't played it yet. It's kind of like Black Ops a little bit.
Yeah, you have increased health and faster movement, so
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, check it out.
yeah, the time to kill seemed crazy fast to me watching your stream, Jasper. But we'll
the
see.
time to kill was like so long, bro.
You were dying every 2 seconds. It seemed so fast. It was crazy. I don't know, man. I feel like this Call of Duty, actually watching the gameplay, I'm like less excited for, because it's like that Black Ops style and a Modern Warfare theme. And like I prefer the Modern Warfare style games, and like if it's Black Ops, it's cool and all, but I don't like transitioning Modern Warfare into that, because I know the next game probably is going to end up being some kind of Black Opsy type game as well. So now I'm going to have to look forward to doing that twice. Like, just this was a Modern Warfare game. Like, this isn't a fucking Black Ops game, right? Like, don't turn Modern Warfare into Black Ops. Like, let's just keep Black Ops, and keep Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare. Like, I don't know. That's my personal taste. And I like that there was 2 different styles, you know. But it is what it is.
I mean, that's kind of always been. It's Sledgehammer's field. They're adding their kind of flavor to it. So
yeah, well, yeah, Sledgehammer, right? Not my favorite developer there on Call of Duty.
They're the studio that gives you what you ask for, though.
Not me.
Thank you. Shout out to the 241 in here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's 1 a.m. and you guys are chilling with us.
Yeah, but speaking of that, we got to get out of here, guys. So we'll go around and get everybody out. And Bob, you got any final thoughts on ABK? Like, and then tell everybody where they can find you.
I think it's just going to be an exciting time to be a gamer in general, and that the market is about to be shaken up a bit, and this is going to be a big change, and I'm looking forward to it. And as always, it's great getting a chance to come here and talk. Sorry I wasn't as high energy tonight or as crazy.
Well, you just had a sponsored stream, right? Like playing Lords
yeah,
of the
I just
Fallen?
had the stream. I was playing Lords of the Fallen before this. I'll be playing tomorrow, and then doing like a birthday stream on Sunday. If anyone wants to play some Halo customs, then hit me up. We'll be doing that all night on
They
Sunday.
got AI in Halo now.
Yeah,
dude, I haven't even
crazy.
had a chance to check it out because I've been too busy catching up on games. I was like hanging out and playing Armored Core while everyone's chatting, waiting for get called on. But no, you want my crazy acquisition idea though that I didn't get a chance to interject with?
Yeah.
Wait until Microsoft buys Disney, everybody. That's when it's really going to change up.
Disney, let's go. And Disney's thinking about buying EA possibly. So yeah.
Either way, I don't know.
Let them gobble up EA first, then buy Disney.
But yeah, as always, it's good to hang out with you guys. You guys check out my YouTube, check out my Twitter, check out my Twitch, and I'll try and be around more often.
Yeah, right on, man. Hey, by the way, Bob, is Lords of the Fallen as broken as everybody's saying, or?
It's only broken on Xbox, isn't it?
It's playing pretty good on PC. It's a little bit buggy so far. I'm trying to get used to like the mechanics and figure out the game. Like I only got to play it for about 2 hours, so
is it extremely Soulsy?
It's definitely a Souls-like. But I've from what I've read, it's also more of like an action RPG. But it doesn't like I've been in a creator program for a while, waiting to get my hands on it, and like I just got the game last night. So
yeah,
it definitely doesn't seem like they're in a rush to get in anyone's hands. But hopefully, I think it has a lot of potential, and I was having fun trying to invade other people's games and getting tossed every time I went in their room. So we'll see how it goes.
Right on, man. And did you say where people can find you?
Yep. Check out my YouTube, check out my Twitch, check out my Twitter. I'll be here as much as I can too. So thank you so much for having me.
Right on, Bob. Thanks for being here, dude. 3-bit. Thanks for being here, bro. Yeah, it's big times. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, everyone can find me on Twitter or X at i3bit. I've been making a mess lately. If you see my timeline, talking about IGN and different stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much where you guys can find me. I've been currently just working on different commercials like Aflac and stuff. So just look out for that if I retweet it or something when I'm allowed to post about it. Yeah, a lot of big things are coming. So that's all I can say for now. I love y'all, and great episode. It's been a while since I've been on Xbox Ultimate. Love y'all, and everybody in the chat. There's 217 people in here at 1 a.m. And you guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging with us, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I appreciate it. Fuzzy Belvedere, tell everybody where they find you, sir.
Oh, just awesome being on here with you guys. Thanks for having me be a part. Thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us. Greatly appreciate you guys interacting with us. Don't forget to hit the like button. You can find me on Twitter, rambling and ranting and poking fun at some of the Sony faithful, or the PS only fans, as I call them. Follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. Check out the shop with me, Pong, and PTK Blam tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. And then right back here Monday for FSP, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on the Fun Speculation Network. Look forward to seeing you there.
Right on, man. Thanks, Fuzz. What's funny is, like, you can kind of tell from us, like, with everything that went on, like, last night going into today, we're all kind of fucking tired at this point, more than we would usually be, even at midnight my time here. But, like, it's pretty crazy. What a whirlwind of a fucking day. Like, started last night, carried
Really
through throughout
started
the
a
night.
year ago.
I woke up like 3 different times, and each time I looked at my phone when I woke up, like in the middle of the night last night, there was like new breaking news, like, and it was like, oh my god, it's insane. So it was like kind of hard to sleep because I kept scrolling Twitter like after I woke up, you know, and then go back to sleep, wake up, new news, go to sleep, wake up, new news. It's absolutely crazy.
Like Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, hey, Jigga J hit us earlier with a $2 super chat. Says happy ABK day. Let's party. Woo! Appreciate it, Jigga J. Anonymous Boss also with the $2 to salute everybody. I heard PS will reboot Killzone.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, let's go. I'm down. Pong Soul back in the Starfield universe.
That's interesting.
Full time.
I am.
Oh wait, did I skip Psycho? Oh my god.
Yeah, you skipped.
You skipped
Is he
Psycho
here?
and me,
No, it's all right.
and went straight to Pong.
Okay.
Oh, look at you trying to make up for when you forgot me.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll get back to you, Pong. Psycho.
No problem.
Tell everybody where they can find you, bro.
What's up, everybody? I am sorry that I am not very talkative tonight. Just exhausted, but you can find me everywhere on social media at Psychonauts 8, here every Mondays on FSP at 10, Tuesdays at Fun Pop at 10, and Xbox Ultimate. See, I get stupid
At
when
10
I get
on
tired. So, thank you.
Yeah. Right on, Psycho. Thanks, bro. And Jasper.
I'm broken as fuck right now.
The newly appointed YouTube partner, Lore Master Jasper. Again, congrats on that, dude. And tell everybody where they can go support
as your
channel.
favorite PlayStation pony likes to say, the deal is done. Activision Blizzard is now part of Xbox. That's a little bit changed there. Yo, check it out. Lord Jasper Twitter, Lord Master Jasper YouTube, all that fun stuff. Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, all 10 o'clock right here on the Fun Speculation Network with FSP, Fun Pop, and Xbox Ultimate. I do my own thing. I just got YouTube partners, Matt said, so check that out on my channel. Thank you all for subscribing that he sent over last night. So yeah.
We wanted a yo. There was no yo. Oh, you did? I missed it.
Yeah, he had a yo. Yeah.
Okay.
And by the
Just
way,
make sure.
Jasper had the most actually comment I've ever seen him produce earlier on YouTube.
I went. It was like a care moment. I felt like I was like,
because somebody was giving him a hard time about his comments about Halo Infinite on the show, and then I was making a joke and I said that it was his Kentucky internet. And then Jasper went and broke down all this like technical jargon, talking about something.
I made it a 6
tick rates and stuff. And then he went and actually like sent me a screenshot of his response on Twitter. So then I went and replied that his neighbor must have ran into his modem is why he was having so many problems, but just not taking any of it seriously whatsoever. It's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, you earned
also
you earned the actually nickname with that reply.
Yeah,
that.
There was also a reply below that. It probably got blocked because I sent a YouTube link with a video showing desync.
Oh my god, you just had to prove there was desync. It's absolutely amazing. I believe you, Jasper, just for what it's worth. I do believe you. I don't know if the other guy believe you, but I'll always give you a hard time about it because I think it's fucking hilarious. You freak out about Halo desync. Pong Soul.
Oh, it's my turn now.
Golden age, bro. It's even goldener.
Goldener, is that a word? Or
More golden? More golden?
it's the goldenest, easiest.
It's
Shimmering.
It's
the
the most golden age.
So in like 10 years, can you like change like the golden boys on PM?
Yeah, we could. We could.
Golden boys.
We will be old enough at that point to do
Get your golden canes.
I'm cool with that. Let's go with it.
Yeah. 2 raisins on PM and the PM. We're 2 rolled raisins. No.
No,
Prunes?
I'm not down with raisins.
Prunes?
No.
Mothball guys?
No.
Oatmeal aficionados?
No.
Denture men?
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
The wrinkled guys. I mean,
yeah.
The wrinklies. Ooh, that sounds bad too.
Hover round racers.
That could be your Forza clan.
Yeah.
It's been fun, man. This is something we're gonna be talking about for quite a while. So again, everybody was hoping it was just all gonna go away. It's just starting because we're gonna have news. They're gonna have the roundtable. There's going to be all sorts of announcements. We're going to start getting details about some of these deals. Like I really am interested in seeing the Ubisoft deal. Pactor put out a video yesterday, I think it was, on his initial kind of speculation on what that Ubisoft deal was going to look like and how it was going to be structured. But he said he will eventually get to see the deal and then he'll have more to talk about on it. All that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about this deal for a long time. Like, the energy, the excitement for this deal to finally get done after 2 years is unbelievable. And again, I didn't get to talk about last night with Mav. Mav was in his bag last night on Mavcast. If you guys didn't see that, go back and watch Mav. He was talking that shit last night, more so than we normally would on a PM to PM. He was laying it down. So you got to go check that out. But we're going to be talking about this for a long time. And it was great to be here and hear kind of everybody's kind of thoughts, initial thoughts. Now that it's all done and wrapped up, all different perspectives. There's so many different angles with this and what this is going to mean. That's why we said this is not have we ever said this is about Call of Duty. This is so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
This is industry shaking. This is going to move people to make other moves. And again, for those of you that don't like consolidation, that don't like acquisitions, that
fuck off. No, I'm just kidding.
think it's doom and gloom. I mean, again, as I always say, buckle up, everybody. We're just getting started. This is now a transformative kind of period for the industry. Things are regressing back from the pandemic. We're seeing a lot of jobs lost, which is the ugly, ugly side of things. These acquisitions can save jobs. Yes, there'll probably be layoffs due to this, but overall, some of these acquisitions really do save positions and save companies, save dev studios from going under. So we're going to see a lot more of this, folks. So buckle up, get ready. We're going to be right here talking about it on all of our channels. So thank you all for joining us tonight, brothers. Appreciate each and every single one of you for coming on tonight, giving your thoughts. We had a big panel tonight. Obviously, we could have sat here and talked for another 5 hours on this stuff to let us all talk, because you got a bunch of big talkers on this panel too. That's the fun part. So we're going to space it out a little bit more for y'all, but chat, you all were amazing. Lots of good conversations in there. There's really no right or wrong opinions in this situation, because we're going to have to let this play out. And this is not something that we're going to see in the next year. Not something we're even need necessarily see in the next 5 years, what the full ramifications are. We're talking about 10 years down the road. So come on back, join us. We'll be here 10 years from now talking about this as well. But, it is the golden age, folks. It really is. So Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on the X, formerly known as Twitter. You're going to get 2 giant talkers tomorrow morning, living split screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. You could tell Steele's been fired up. Steele's got a lot going on in the background. Him and I haven't chatted all week. So you know what that means tomorrow morning. Last week, it was almost an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in before we got done with our intros. because we were talking Forza. We just went right into Forza. So join us tomorrow morning, living split screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Be there 3+ hours. You know, we're going to push it tomorrow. It's going to be 4+. Buckle up, get ready. And then, of course, tomorrow night's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, Fuzzy Belvedere, myself. You know, there's going to be a lot more conversation happening. The best way to end your Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Again, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. I will be visiting an unconventional place on Sunday. It hasn't been announced yet, but keep your eyes and ears open, but definitely unconventional for this person right here, this man right here. Not someplace you normally would see me, but I'm going to be there. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. Yeah. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Otherwise, next week it starts all over again. You know, Boom, he's been pushing out the shows, lots of great content. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor podcast every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time on Double Barrel Gaming. And then Thursdays, right back here next week. God willing, again, this week, something came up out of the blue, kind of on me, family-wise. So we didn't have PM into PM, but we will be back next week right here, me and Mav, talking about this and so much more, because I'm sure we're going to have lots of different news coming out. Otherwise, Golden Age is here, people. Play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon, about 9 hours. See you then.
Yeah. And thanks, everybody, for turning up each and every week for all of our shows here. Appreciate you. Audio listeners, appreciate you as well. Don't forget to leave a review on audio, or if you hit the like button on YouTube, share it out, notification bell, sub, all that kind of stuff. Appreciate the support if you like what we do here. But you all rock, and this community has been something else the last 24 hours here, man. Like, just the energy from the Xbox community, from the gamers out there, relishing in the glory of this ABK deal finally culminating after 20 years of some fun-ass speculation, I'll say. Has absolutely been awesome, and it just starts now. The future of what we're all going to be talking about for the next 20 months plus 20 years. I don't know how long we're going to be talking about the ramifications of ABK on this day today, and what it meant for Xbox, what it means for the future, and all the games we're going to get to be playing, and how it could potentially change the industry even as much as Xbox already has with Game Pass and all this stuff. This is more of a cement pillar behind that whole philosophy that's going to double down and put pressure on the rest of the industry to follow suit with some of their decisions. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. And I'm going to be here for it. You guys are going to be here for it. Tune in on Monday. We're going to have more fun talk, fun speculation podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see what all transpires over the weekend. It's going to be interesting to see. Tuesday is Fun Pop. We had a mission on Fun Pop that we gave our community to watch The Nun. We're all kind of watching that behind the scenes. 3-bit. If you're going to be there next Tuesday, you need to watch The Nun if you haven't already seen it.
The Nun.
Yeah,
Okay.
The Nun.
Yeah.
And then
It's free on Tubi if
yeah.
you don't want to.
Yeah,
pay for
or
it.
it's on Max if you have Max.
Sounds like a horror movie.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, we're doing horror movies for October. So then on next Tuesday on Fun Pop, we'll pick a different movie, and then we'll watch that and follow that through with October. But then Thursday, like Pong said, we're back here with PM and the PM at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're gonna have an absolute fucking blast hanging out after we missed this past week. And then Friday back here, 10 p.m. Eastern time every week. Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Appreciate you all, and hell yeah, it's over. ABK belongs to us. Peace out.